What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the live stream. We're here. We made it. We are live. And I'm joined by my buddy. You saw him once on this channel before. This is Jordan right here.
Hi, I'm Jordan. I have
Yes, this is Jordan.
Because it fits with the theming of the movie that we're talking about today.
Yes, the red, the white. Man, I'm excited. I've been waiting ever since I saw the movie on Sunday to talk about this. Unfortunately, half of our guests are gone, but one might show up later. We'll see. Internet, am I right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, internet sucks.
So we'll go ahead and start talking about Spider-Man No Way Home. Some viewers. We'll see what happens. So, Jordan, when did you see the movie?
I saw it last Thursday night, and then I saw it a second time the following day on Friday.
So you've seen it twice already.
So I've seen it twice, and I'm planning on seeing it a third time with my dad and my brother because we're really big fans of the Raimi movies. So I'm really curious to see what they think of it. They haven't seen it yet, though. Liam,
sorry if it say that last part where you were saying you were going to see it with your brother and your dad because you're both big fans of the Raimi films.
Yeah, no. So I'm me and my dad, my brother. We are really big fans of the Sam Raimi movies. So I'm really curious to see what they think of it. Very curious.
They haven't seen it yet?
No, they haven't seen it yet.
Ooh,
they haven't seen it.
I unfortunately had finals Thursday and Friday, so I wasn't able to see it until Sunday night after work, and that was so I didn't purchase them like the first day they were out, and that was the earliest showing I had that still had good seats. Up until that point at the theater at the mall, just about every single showing was sold out.
Yeah,
which we haven't seen the likes of since Endgame, pretty much.
I think for me this was like close to the Avengers or even Black Panther, because I remember Black Panther was actually pretty sold out, but that was also opening weekend, and then like it was easier to get tickets once.
The last time I remember this was Endgame. This was the most recent movie I remember there being many tickets sold out.
But to be fair, I didn't have to wait and buy tickets for Endgame. But anyway, yeah. This was pretty insane. I actually, what was it when I went Friday? It was me, Jared, and Alec. We went, and we actually got the handicap seats because there were no other seats available, like for like all three of us. It was crazy.
Wow. Yeah. Now we're gonna get into the big parts. Let's keep it spoiler free for the moment, and then we'll move into spoilers in a second. So overall, what did you think of the movie?
So I'm gonna mention this. I have a little bit of a controversial opinion here. So Are you familiar with the movie called Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse?
Yes, I am. It's actually a fantastic movie.
It is a very fantastic movie.
The thing about that movie is that it surprised me. I didn't think I was going to like it.
Yeah.
But I ended up watching that film like, this was pretty dang good.
Yeah,
and now we're getting 2 more films.
Yeah, no,
it's going to be awesome.
I really enjoy Into the Spider-Verse, but there is this sad stigma that I have with it. So whenever I hear a movie is like the greatest thing ever, which
what we hear now a lot.
We'll get to that. But like, so whenever I hear that phrase, this is the greatest thing ever, I tend to go into a movie with that praise being given to it a little bit more cynical. And I didn't go see Into the Spider-Verse when it first came out. Like, I actually saw it later when it was on Netflix.
Oh, yeah, same. I didn't see it until after it left theaters.
So I had the hype build into me. Everybody saying, this is the best Spider-Man movie. This is that. It's so great. So I think I was a little bit more cynical when I went into it the first time. And Well, I still love the movie, and I would probably put it in my top 3 favorite Spider-Man movies. It's not my favorite Spider-Man movie, and it's also something that I'm just like, I would love to give it a second chance because I really do think it's a really good movie.
Are we still talking about
Um,
Spider-Verse or?
yeah, I'm still
Okay,
into the
okay.
Spider-Verse. With that being said, this was my Into the Spider-Verse. No Way Home was in my Into the Spider-Verse, where
Sorry,
I
you cut out. Say that last part again.
so Into the Spider Verse, I think is a pretty solid movie, really good. It's just not my favorite Spider-Man movie.
Same.
With that being said, No Way Home is my Into the Spider Verse. Like, this was the movie that I think I was waiting for as a Spider-Man fan, and and as just seeing like all these characters from different universes kind of come into this movie. I had a lot of fun with it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I went and saw it with my brother Sunday night. We were both super excited, and with all the things that were potentially going to happen in this movie, we were so excited.
Same. That's why I
It
wanted to
was
see it
so
Thursday.
awesome getting to a packed movie theater with all
Mhm.
other people and the excitement in the theater. I get what you're saying. Into the Spider-Verse, for me, it's like either number 4 or 5, but I would say this movie, No Way Home. This movie is my favorite Spider-Man movie,
Okay.
and one of my favorite MCU movies. Easily top 5,
Oh yeah.
maybe
This
top 3.
this is
I feel like I should give it a second viewing before I like
yeah.
confirmingly place it. But
I
after
think my
seeing it the first time, I put it as my second favorite MCU movie, just behind Infinity War.
okay.
With that being said, though, this is my new favorite Spider-Man movie,
No,
and then followed
I
by Homecoming, Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man, Far
see
From Home,
Spider-Man
or
2
Into
is
the
still my
Spider-Verse.
favorite though. That one I think is still
Mhm.
the gold standard. But
Well,
I
for
will
me,
say
the second position is either Homecoming or Spider-Man 2, depending on which I watch.
Mhm.
It will flip, no doubt.
Yeah. But I will say this is definitely like top 3 for me. It's like Spider-Man
Easily.
2, uh No Way Home, Into the Spider-Verse are like my top 3.
Yeah. And even some people, I have yet to hear like a person say this was a bad movie. Although there's a couple pieces of garbage on Twitter that are ranking it like at the bottom. Like they'll
Those are
put
the
the
trolls,
Raimi
man.
films,
I think
they'll
those
put
I
Into the
on
Spider-Verse, then they'll put the TASM films, and then they'll put the Amazing Spider-Man films for short, and then they'll put the all of the MCU films, and I'm just like, the ability to speak does not make you intelligent. Oh, you know what?
Ability to
Here.
speak does not make you
My
intelligent.
reactions to people doing that is this.
Fuck this guy!
So yeah, that's my reaction. I had those video clips saved.
Yep, you're all ready.
Yep. All right. Are you ready to get into spoilers?
Oh yeah.
All right, chat, for anyone watching this back that still has not seen the movie, click off of this video, okay? Here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, fasten your seatbelts.
All right, spoilers.
Hashtag I found Toby and Andrew.
I will
I
say,
found
when Andrew Garfield, or when Ned opened up the portal and you saw Andrew Garfield at the end, and he was like, the crowd in my theater was like, what?
the
That
same.
was the
The same in
loudest.
mine.
The
Opening
reaction
night,
was
especially.
Andrew Garfield.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, no.
And then when Toby came through, it was like, but I feel like more people got excited for Andrew because one, he was in his suit, Toby wasn't,
yeah.
and then
Mhm.
he came.
And I do
first,
have an interesting
and that-
theory about that.
like, oh, they're
Let
coming.
me. We'll get to that when they came in and they reacted. So the big consensus that people have when it comes to like the ranking the actors of the Spider-Man movies, most people say Tobey Maguire was the best Peter Parker.
Yes.
Andrew Garfield was the best Spider-Man. And I would argue, I make the argument that I think Tom Holland does a really good job at doing both, which is one of the reasons why I would argue he's kind of my favorite. But I also love Tobey and Andrew too. I think both of them are fantastic.
Yeah.
Which I thought was very clever when Andrew and Tobey came into the movie. Andrew was dressed as Spider-Man. He was in the suit, and Tobey was in Peter Parker because it's like, okay, I thought that was actually kind of clever. The more I thought about it,
I kind of felt it as like, okay, so they're in this new world that they don't know anybody. Tobey's instinct was, okay, I got to blend in, so he dresses normally, and then Spider-Man is, okay, I'll keep to the shadows or something in my suit or whatever.
That actually.
I will say to that, I actually think Tobey is closer to an all around. Like, he's good Peter, but he's also good as Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Whereas Andrew is not, or was not, a very good Peter Parker, but he was a great Spider-Man. And then Tom Holland was also a good all around, where he was good. His Peter was good.
This. I mean, when I say that, I don't mean that as like, oh, like they were bad as Peter Parker or they were bad as Spider-Man.
I'm
saying that more as a generalization. I think it also just was what each version and each trilogy or series of films wanted to focus on. Like, I think like the Sam Raimi movies really wanted to focus on the drama of Peter Parker, and Spider-Man was just sort of an extra persona. Like, to me, that's one of the reasons why I think Spider-Man 2 is the best Spider-Man movie, because it really does focus on him and his journey and what being this hero means to him and what it's doing to his life, to the point where he's like, I can't do this anymore. I'm sorry, Uncle Ben. I'm Spider-Man no more. And then with the Andrew films, they really wanted to make Spider-Man, they wanted to get a more comic accurate Spider-Man, because Spider-Man is a lot more of a big persona. And while Andrew Garfield does a really good job, and they do a really good job at creating a new version of Peter Parker, he was very, like, he seemed a little maybe too competent in the beginning, to the point where it's like, when there's scenes where he loses somebody and there's supposed to be like a big emotional, like, gut wrench, it just kind of falls flat, but with that being said, more so talking about with No Way Home and them being in this movie, I was really fucking nervous because I knew they were going to be in the movie. I think everybody did. Like, despite
it was all but confirmed.
Yeah. Everybody and their mother knew. But I was scared at the capacity that they were going to be used in the movie. I was actually kind of terrified of that. Because I honestly thought it was going to be like Endgame, where they were only going to come in at like the last, like during the final fight, and then they were going to fight alongside Spider-Man, and then they'd be like, okay, and then that would be it. But I'm very happy that they actually utilized the two of them very effectively, and they brought them in at the right moment. And it's probably after one of the lowest moments in the movie. And they had that really emotional scene where, they actually reiterate the whole "with great power comes great responsibility" line. And also, on top of that, I also like that they gave each of them like definitive personalities. Like, you could definitely see, and they work off each other very well. Like, Tobey's Peter Parker is obviously a lot more mature. He's a lot older. Andrew Garfield's sort of he's very cocky and rebellious. And he has a little bit more of a darker edge to him. Whereas, and Tom Holland's just kind of he's still the youthful kid. And each of those aspects play into Peter's, with Tom Holland's Peter, and both Tobey and Andrew try to comfort that in some ways, which I really enjoyed. And I thought that really furthered not only it really furthered Tom Holland's Peter Parker. I honestly, he's definitely earned his place up there as one of the best Spider-Mans.
Oh
Because I've
yeah.
always felt like, and as much as I love Tom Holland as Spider-Man, and I've always enjoyed, him in these movies, and I've enjoyed sort of the struggles that he's gone through. Well, I shouldn't say enjoy his struggles, but but like I've always found it interesting seeing like the struggles that he goes through. My biggest thing is that the movies themselves have always just kind of been goofy comedies, if that makes any sense. And I get that's kind of the
Yeah.
idea, but I thought this one
Think about
really
the ending. Oh, go ahead. Finish what you're saying.
I felt like this one really evolved his character a lot more.
Oh
More
yeah,
so, I
and
think,
it's
than the
evolved
other
it to a
movies.
point where if you look, one of the big criticisms of Tom Holland Spider-Man was that he always would rely on Stark Tech, never doing anything
Yeah.
on his own. At the end of this movie, he now is all on his own.
Mhm.
No one with him because of what happened, what Doctor Strange did, and he erased everybody's memories,
Yeah.
where no one remembers Peter Parker. To where he's on his own. He'll have to pay. He's in a crummy apartment. He's listening to the police scanner on his app on his phone, and
He makes his own suit now.
That suit at the end, I saw the he made his own suit. Oh, it's blue again, and
Mhm.
that final like couple swings, I was like,
It was like, finally, that's a really great final
that's the
swing.
Spider-Man that I think everyone wanted, but hasn't quite gotten yet from Tom Holland. But this is a more accurate to
I think we're there now,
the lore.
in my opinion.
And
I think
it
we've gotten there.
broke my heart when he walked out of that coffee shop, realizing that MJ and Ned were happy without him, and they got into MIT, and it hurt that he didn't even tell Happy when he saw him at Aunt May's
Mhm.
grave. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, here's somebody you can tell, just so you have somebody. But I think
Yeah.
what's interesting is, so Doctor Strange erased everyone's memory that Peter Parker exists. Spider-Man still, everyone knows Spider-Man. They just don't
Everybody
know
knows Spider-Man
Peter
now.
is. Yeah. So does that mean, like, say the Avengers, they still know Spider-Man, but they just don't know Spider-Man is Peter?
I think that's
Yeah.
that's sort of what they're hinting at. I'm
And
very
my
curious
boss,
to see how that. I'm very
when
curious to see how that's going to play out in the other movies.
Mhm.
Like, Doctor Strange comes up and he's like, "Oh, you're the Spider-Man," or whatever. Like, but I also think I think this is going to give us enough time to establish Spider-Man as his own hero within this universe. Did I blank out
you froze
again?
for a second. Yeah, you froze for, sorry, my dumb internet quality. So yeah, and I hope that so my boss actually gave this as an example, so that a way, like, sort of the stepping stone for Peter to tell MJ that he was actually in her life before this all happened, is the fact that she still has that necklace that he gave her in Far From Home.
Mm-hmm.
She still has it, but the memory of how she got it is just blank.
Yeah.
That was an interesting part that he told me when I was there over the weekend. We were able to discuss it in quite a lot. So
Yeah.
that was an interesting one. So yeah, that's what I got.
No, I'm actually really interested to see what is going to happen now with, and that's one of the things that I genuinely did like about this movie. Is that going in, I think everybody was very worried about all the fan references and like all the nostalgia bait, as people are calling it, with Doc Ock and all the villains coming back and everything, and Toby and Andrew coming. That I think they were worried that it was going to be too fan heavy. And some of the reviews that I have seen have kind of addressed that, oh, it's nostalgia bait and all that stuff. It's, referencing nostalgia. And they are right. I'm not going to act like that is that's not a part of it. But at the same time, I do think that there was a lot of really good, like, character moments and it really did. It didn't take away too much from the character of establishing Peter Parker. Like you actually do, like he really does grow throughout this movie, and it really does deal with the consequences of like he has to face his consequences. He can't just be, he can't. I think Doctor Strange says that he can't just live a double life. He's trying to live these two lives and everything, and he has to learn to accept responsibility.
Yeah, and with great power comes great responsibility.
That is true.
And they dropped that line, but it was
You froze.
oh shoot, I was saying
Your audio
with great power comes great. I'm good.
Yeah, you're good now.
I'm good. Okay. That was with great power comes great responsibility, and they dropped it in the movie, but Aunt May said it,
Which okay,
which I
I
was fine with.
actually
But
did-
for a moment, I thought they were actually going to play a flat. But in that moment, I thought they were actually going to play a flashback of Uncle Ben dying, and that's literally all we need is people are like, oh, Uncle Ben's not showing up or anywhere, which is. But all we need is just a tiny little flashback, like like how Batman v Superman did it. They did 2 seconds of the death of the ones, and it worked. And they just need to do that with Uncle Ben, and it'll work.
Yeah, I think it's too late to do Uncle Ben now. Like, or
Or at least do a
if you're gonna
flashback or
do
something.
it, like I was hoping they would bring it up in this movie, like they would really try to like emphasize it, but like it really doesn't seem like he had that. Or if Uncle Ben did exist in this universe, it doesn't have that big of an impact on Peter. I honestly, with them changing it with Aunt May dying and being the him and her telling him with great power comes great responsibility, I was okay with that. I thought was absolutely fine. I didn't have a problem with it. I'm sure some people are going to be like, well, that's not part of the lore. That's not that. I'm like, Ben Parker.
Well, actually, if you haven't played the Spider-Man PS4 video game, but
which I have heard about.
I don't know if you.
I'm not a gamer.
Do I say anything?
I'm assuming you could spoil it. I really don't care.
Well, at the end, is Doc Ock's origin is inside of the story, and he ends up
Is it the same as the comics where he like has the arms and then like they fuse to his body or whatever?
Not quite. Where in the game, Peter works for him, and they are developing neurotechnology, and throughout the game, you find out that he has some backstory, some history with Norman Osborn, who's the mayor of New York City. And what ends up happening is Norman creates the neurotechnology, which becomes the arms, but it isn't safe, and it ends up the neural interface ends up altering his brain function. And he becomes Doc Ock, and he's not thinking clearly. Ends up releasing a weapon onto New York.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of a parallel that in a movie or something, but I can't think of one. And so the rest of the game, Peter then tries to create an anti-serum, and he has the anti-serum, but his Aunt May is dying of the disease, and he can either and risk the rest of New York dying, or he can save the anti-serum for the rest, but he would have to watch Aunt May dying. He ultimately chooses to save New York, and you have to watch him pretty much helplessly watch his Aunt May die. And it is just as heartbreaking as the No Way Home scene.
Yeah.
And I kept thinking, and the Feast Center in No Way Home is also in the video game, which we're getting a sequel to in 2 years.
But yeah, no, that's I thought that
yeah, that was heart.
that was a very
That
it was very it was probably I actually was just like, no, like it really shocked me.
It's too
Mhm.
soon because the video game he's out of college on his own, and
Mhm.
in this movie he's a senior in high school,
Yeah.
which means I'm sure that the next trilogy they'll fast forward it to where he's in college,
Yeah, where he's in yeah.
which is weird because they were talking about MIT in this one, but in the video, in for instance, video game, he goes to Empire State University.
Oh, okay. I actually just thought of something now. So in the comics, Betty Brant
Mhm.
is one of Peter's girlfriends. I think if they keep Angourie Rice, I think she's gonna possibly be the new love interest if he works for the Daily Bugle.
That would be interesting.
Because
Or
Betty
I
Brant
thought,
works
okay,
at
so
the Daily Bugle
MJ's
with Jameson, yeah.
you're right at the moment she works as I don't think she works at the Daily Bugle. I think she was just working on a random news one. I
But
could be wrong.
okay, so
I only saw it
well,
once.
you want to know why I think that? Because what was it? So there's an Instagram page that's the Daily Bugle, and they made a funny video with the girl, the Angourie Rice, who's the girl who plays Betty Brant.
She does actually a pretty good job.
Yeah, no, she's good.
thought.
She's a really very underrated actress. Like young actor. And she talks about she's an intern at the Daily Bugle, and she talks about her boss Jameson and everything. And I was like, oh, okay, that's actually kind of clever.
Also played by Elizabeth Banks in the Raimi trilogy.
That's right. And there was no, yeah, I was gonna say we never got the Daily Bugle in the Raimi movies except with like off-screen cameos of J. Jonah Jameson, which I'm still
In the
assuming
Raimi
he was
films?
played by J.K. Simmons. I still think J.K.
You mean the TASM films?
the TASM films? Yes. What did I say?
Yeah. We literally one email from him in the Amazing Spider-Man 2. Yeah, I was gonna. Oh, I was thinking, a way for them to do it is because, because now MJ doesn't remember him. What if they then decided to introduce like Black Cat into it or
That would be cool. I love this. The thing is, I don't know too much about Black Cat.
Well, she's basically the Marvel's version of Catwoman.
Yeah, and to me that sounds really boring. It kind of sounds dull, but I'm sure she's an interesting character, and I'm sure they can make. I'm sure that's probably why they've been avoiding her, because they're like, oh, they're going to confuse her as Catwoman.
Well, shoot. She has a much bigger role in the video game. If you're if you don't know a whole lot about her, I think it's the Heist in the City That Never Sleeps DLC. It's the first one. If you want to watch it, it was. And another thing is that in the TV show Spectacular Spider-Man, they end up. There's a episode with them but that's when Peter has the black suit, and obviously with the end credits scene of No Way Home, I was like, could they introduce Black Cat when he goes black suit Spidey? And speaking of the end credits scene, oh my gosh, I think when it panned down to the symbiote on the little bit of the symbiote, I jumped at. I was like, oh my gosh. It was, because I thought they were going to keep Tom Hardy in the MCU and be the Venom, but then when they thrusted him back, it was like, oh, well, that just undid it. Oh, there's some of the symbiote left, and that's their way to introduce Venom into the MCU.
I'm still mad about that. I want Tom Hardy fighting Tom Holland. I want Tom versus.
You don't know.
Tom.
It could Eddie Brock in the MCU could be Tom Hardy, or they may recast their own person.
They might. But I want Tom Hardy.
Something interesting too is that
Do
Willem Dafoe,
Spider-Verse,
Norman Osborn.
It's like here's the thing. Like, you had like a big tease at the end of the Venom movie.
Yep.
And now it's like everybody got really excited for that, and now friggin' The only time I'm ever excited about Tom Hardy in a Venom movie.
Yep,
Like,
I remember how excited you were after
oh
that.
God, that was easily probably, and I actually didn't hate the Let There Be Carnage. And I thought it was fun on like a lot of different levels, but I think the part that got me like legitimately like excited was seeing Tom Hardy in fight, the possibility that he could fight Tom Holland. Like I thought that would be really cool. Like that would be really friggin' awesome. But no, we got the little goo, which I'm like, okay, fine. I know you're teasing him. Like that's kind of exciting. I guess you could kind of do your own thing, but it's like, come on, really?
Something interesting too is that if you think about it, the two best Marvel films that have come out this year were from Sony, not Disney. Because this year for Marvel, we had Black Widow, Shang-Chi, Venom, Eternal, and Spider-Man. Spider-Man's obviously going to be the best Marvel film of the year.
Oh yeah, no, that
For
is the
me,
best
then
part.
it's Let There Be Carnage, then Shang-Chi, Eternals, and then Black Widow.
Black Widow's the lowest.
I did not like Black Widow very much.
Man, I would.
I
put
just
that
think
a little,
they just made it. I guess the
put that
best
a
way to
little
put
bit
it for me
higher than.
is they made the wrong movie, I guess. I feel like if you're going to make a Black Widow movie, it should have been her earlier years as an assassin and then how she like
Yeah,
her redemption arc into
it
me
was. It
talk
was too.
guy.
Yeah, it was a
She
little too late for a
It's
Black
like
Widow
everyone's been
movie.
asking since the first Avengers movie with the Budapest line and like, can we see that? Can we
And
see
now
the
they
assassin
explain it. I'm
part?
just kind of like, oh. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I like Black Widow. I don't mind Black Widow as much. I don't think it's the best MCU movie or anything, but it's like I thought it was good. I
At
like
most, it's like mid tier. At
watching,
most.
and I rewatched Shang-Chi again. Because the first time I saw it, I was like, it's okay. But watching it again, I actually liked it a lot more. And the less we say about Eternals, the better. The more I think about that movie, the more I'm just like, God, that was
Mhm.
boring. God, how do you fucking make this boring? You
Yeah,
know?
and going into like while Shang-Chi made just a little bit of money, like it barely broke even.
Yeah.
Black Widow and Eternals combined have lost Disney about $100 million. However, they're going to make money off of they get 25% of the box office receipts from No Way Home, and this movie is currently outpacing Infinity War.
Oh yeah.
So they're going to probably make back on there. But Sony
Oh,
is getting
absolutely.
75% of that, and it's going to make bank.
Yeah. Oh, this is
For a
this
huge
is definitely
payday.
gonna make bank. No matter how good the movie
Yeah.
was, it was gonna make bank. You know, that's how
But
Hollywood
I think it's going to
is.
make more. Like, there was that this movie was going to cross $1 billion, but now I'm like, this movie could even do $2 billion, or at least flirt with that idea, because
Yeah.
Infinity War made $2 billion, and it's outpacing Infinity War.
Yeah.
And here, let's just go ahead and start into this. Is that currently, I no longer really care about sites like Rotten Tomatoes. Well, the audience score, the critics score is what you want to look at. And currently, this is sitting at a 99%. For context, what is considered the best superhero movie of all time, The Dark Knight, has a 94% audience score.
Whoa.
It has both a 94 for the critics score and the audience score. This film was at a 100% initially.
It was, yeah.
For the tomato meter, and it's dropped down to 94. I think that's a little bit more reasonable. I loved it. It's not perfect. The more I think about it, more people point out there's a couple plot holes, but
there's a few issues
I'm
that
sure
I have with it too.
My favorite
Honestly,
movie, Infinity War, which I consider flawless, definitely has problems. I will say.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's insane. However, there is a entity of people doing like this. Let me see if I can pull it up. So this, I'm not sure where this is, but it's a review that they posted, and look what they gave it. A 1/2. I'm assuming that's either out of 5 or out of 10. I'm not sure. And the thing is, didn't even see it. Just hates seeing Marvel fans happy. I'm sure this person was not happy that Eternals bombed because fans didn't like it.
Yeah.
And so then I retweeted it.
You don't even.
I retweeted
you
it
didn't
and
even
said,
you didn't even see the damn movie. How can you have an opinion on it? You know,
Exactly.
That's why we need to ignore those people. Because
what's funny is some people were accused when the Eternals Rotten Tomatoes score came out. People were accusing people of review bombing it, and then when you looked actually at the reviews, more people were positively review bombing it than negative review bombing it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I said, looks like Spider-Man No Way Home is being review bombed because people don't like when fans are happy. Well, what happens is when your fans are happy, the studios make a lot of money.
That is true.
I mean, that a movie should be is it should make the fans happy, and in return, the studio should make a lot of money. We see that what happens.
Okay,
of course, studios, even though they make a great film, for example, Dune or The Suicide Squad, they don't make a lot of money, that's also because that they put that on HBO Max too. And I saw Dune on HBO Max. I did not go see it in theaters. I went and saw Suicide Squad in the theaters, but I did not see. Let me get out of there. I did not see Dune in theaters. I wanted to, but I didn't. So yeah, there's something about people, they're just like, we can't have fans be happy. It's like, why not? Why can't fans be happy about something that's good? Also, there's articles out there saying that Spider-Man fans are bad because they didn't go see West Side Story from Steven Spielberg, which bombed spectacularly last week.
Well, it's sad because it came out the same weekend as one of the biggest superhero movies ever.
The week before. And what's funny is The Matrix is coming out. It came out today.
I do find that kind of a sad irony, though, because
it's going to get annihilated.
I want to make time to see West Side Story because I do feel bad for that movie. And I love Steven Spielberg. He's like one of my favorite directors, so it's like I kind of have to see that movie. And I have heard good things about West Side Story. West Side Story, I've heard very good things about.
It can be good. So I think that Disney really needs to stop pumping so much money into these types of films because it West Side Story of all, like I haven't seen the original. I probably should, but
you should.
When I think of a musical movie like something like that, it should not cost $100 million. Because I don't think it's going to make it. Like we saw what happened when Disney did A Wrinkle in Time. They put $100 million into it and it bombed horrifically. And ultimately it's because, one, it was a bad movie, but two, you put way too much money into that. Same goes for The Nutcracker, which came out the same year. I didn't see that one, but that movie also cost $100 and did not do well. And another recent example, I don't think it was might have been $100 million, but Encanto, which I haven't heard if it's good or bad.
It's coming out on Disney Plus, which that's my reason for seeing it. I'm planning on seeing it then.
I'll probably see it then too. I have got to catch up on some of the Disney animated movies
on Disney Plus. So
really that fast?
Yeah, I was kind of shocked when I saw that. I was like, "Whoa, that's before it's
like it came out a couple weeks ago."
That's
and
insane.
it just bombed hard. And the thing is this $200 million to make. We got to get back to a time when movies didn't cost so much. Because like I think even a movie like I think it was No Time to Die cost, I think it was either 250 million or 300 million. I don't know where all that money went, but it's possibly going to lose money if it doesn't make more money. I think it's reached profit, but movies should not be costing that much unless you're an Avengers movie. In that case, you're going to make $1 billion. Put as much money into that thing as you want. That's a joke.
I have a theory, and I'm sure there's some financial like involvement that comes with it. I'm sure there's some like financial thing, but I think is that we're living in a day and age where these big budget superhero movies are getting more attention, and sadly that's taking away a lot from smaller films.
Ultimately, I think that's been happening since like 2000. Well, probably before. I was gonna say 2015, but even before then, because you had my mind then shot to like the Transformers movies too.
Oh yeah, no, it's been going on for a long time. I mean, ever since. I mean, that's kind of just film history in general, you know.
Yeah.
But
Eventually, though, I do feel like that the superhero movie genre is going to die out,
it's
and it's going to see how well does
it's
how
still
well does the
kinda, it's starting to
MCU.
get there. Actually,
Yeah, because like
I think it's
after
starting to get there,
and it
particularly
only
with the MCU.
it especially made it worse because of what happened last year. We were supposed to get Black Widow and Shang-Chi last year.
Mhm.
And I feel like Black Widow would have done like way more, even with the same quality. It would have done way more if
Yeah,
it wasn't if it because of the time or whatever. And because it was on Disney Plus at the same time.
yeah.
Um,
Well,
you have
that's the sad thing though too, is that half of these are going to streaming services really early. You know, I remember when I was a kid. I don't know what it was, but like it took like almost 6 months for a movie to come to video.
now it's like
Now
3
it's
or
like
4, right? Because
3.
I remember like Infinity War came out at the end of April, and then it was on DVD and streaming or like Apple TV like middle of August.
Yeah. Well, nowadays we have more streaming services, so I think it's coming to streaming more. I People are just putting it on streaming services more easier, and then like shortly after it'll come to video.
Mhm.
So it's
Yeah.
just crazy. I mean, I think that with how fast production can be, like with like manufacturing like DVDs and like stuff, I feel like it's just gotten so much faster nowadays that it's like the distribution of mass media, has gone
Yep.
so fast that it's just it's crazy.
Oh yeah. And then you have I ultimately do feel that Spider-Man No Way Home may have saved cinemas.
To a certain degree, yes.
Yeah, because these
People definitely wanted to go see this in the theater, and I think
in
with
droves, like everyone and their brother went and saw it this
and
past
I
weekend.
think with them saying it's only going to be in theaters, I
Yeah.
think for a lot of people they're just like, okay, yeah, no, we got to see this on the big screen.
Well, they did that with Shang-Chi and the Eternals as well. Ultimately, though, you can only really compare it with Disney movies because Warner Brothers put their movies on HBO Max at the same time, which ultimately led to Suicide Squad only making like 150 million,
Yeah.
which I was like, wow, you have James, you have Harley Quinn, you have Idris Elba as Bloodsport, you have John Cena of all people, you have it's DC,
And
and ultimately
like the
I think that
Suicide
movie
Squad.
is the best DC EU movie released in theaters since Shazam. Not counting the Snyder Cut because that one didn't go in theaters.
Yeah.
I think the Snyder Cut is the best DC movie since maybe Man of Steel, if not The Dark Knight.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, all right. Now here's something interesting: is that this is the updated box office of Spider-Man. Let me refresh. Okay, so it hasn't updated. When I checked this morning, it was at like 640 million. So in the span of today, it made 110 million dollars,
Mm-hmm.
and that is incredible, in my opinion.
Yeah,
And
that's impressive.
if we compare, so this was the opening weekend. It made $260 million opening weekend, and the projection I think was 253. It turned out to be 260. For comparison,
You
Okay, we've
froze
looked out.
out.
Yeah, okay, so I said No Way Home made 260 million. For comparison, this is The Force Awakens exactly 6 years ago, made 248 million.
Mm-hmm.
And then Infinity War came out, blew that record for the opening weekend and made 258 million. Spider-Man No Way Home made 2 million more than Avengers Infinity War.
Damn.
So now this is the second highest grossing opening weekend for a film of all time, just behind Avengers Endgame by about $100 million.
Damn. Good for them.
That
Marvel's just on a
that
roll.
blows my mind. I thought it would be close to like Black Panther numbers because Black Panther made, I think, 202 million, which at the
Mhm.
time was the only solo superhero film to do that.
Yeah.
But no, this. And then for some comparison, this is No Way Home 260. This is Spider-Man Homecoming, made 117 million, which is
Mhm.
over double. And then Spider-Man Far From Home only made 92 million opening weekend. But
Yeah.
for context, it opened up on a Tuesday, so it
Mhm.
had an extra couple days. So in reality, it should be 100. It should the 185 million should be what it is. But this was the
Mhm.
weekend.
Yeah.
Here's something cool. This was opening night. It made $50 million opening night.
Hmm.
For comparison, Infinity War only made 39 million opening night. Then you have Endgame made 60 million, so it only made 10 million less than what is considered the biggest movie of all time.
Mhm.
What are you watching?
Oh, I'm watching something? Actually, I actually just turned on Loki.
Oh.
Because I
Was
know
not
we
a
were
big fan.
talking about another Marvel show today.
Oh yeah, in a little bit we're going to talk about Hawkeye. I got
Mhm.
some thoughts. And
I
I
have
wish
thoughts too.
I wish Josh
Maybe-
was here because I was going to ask him about it.
They're not my thoughts are not grand.
Neither are mine.
But well, mine are not like I don't have like any hot takes or anything on it, but like at the same time I do have some criticisms.
Oh, I do too. I have some good things and I have some bad things.
Same.
Back to our previously scheduled program. So Spider-Man No Way Home 50 million. The Force Awakens made $57 million opening Thursday night. Last Jedi made 45 million. Okay, and that's the end of my comparison. So back to that. Ultimately, there. Compare this with other movies. Let me type in let me do Infinity War. There we go. Right now, this film is tracking ahead of Infinity War by about a little over $20 million. It started, but then Infinity War, it slowed down and then it sped back up. So if this film is pacing ahead of Infinity War, this could very well maybe even top The Force Awakens. Because it's like, I think it's Avatar. I cannot believe that movie is now the highest grossing movie again. Endgame, Titanic.
Hey, it's now a Disney movie, so
It is The Force Awakens and then Infinity
Avatar's
War.
now a Disney movie
This
because Disney owns Fox.
What studio did Fox make Titanic?
I think no.
I'm gonna look this up.
It might.
What
I think it was New
studio
Line.
made, which is Paramount.
Okay, Paramount. Never mind. We were way off.
Hey, second
I
best
think
film of the
because
year.
we associate with James Cameron, so
Yeah, hey, they made the second best film of the year, The Tomorrow War,
that was good.
but they didn't have any faith in it, so they just put it on Amazon.
Yeah, it was good.
Hey, I'll take a free movie, and turns out it was absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, it was good.
And now our final thing of the night we will share is this is the top 10 highest grossing films of the year. We have Eternals, lost
Yeah.
money. Shang-Chi made about $30 million.
Cool.
Godzilla versus Kong, I completely forgot that came out this year.
So did I. I
Then
even
you
forgot
have
it existed.
Then you have Venom, Let There Be Carnage. And then here's the interesting thing is that last year in 2020, the two highest grossing films of all time were two Chinese films that I'd never heard about.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I went here preparing for the stream, looking at this, I'm like, what are these movies? I've never heard of these. And then this one, and then this one, they're all
That's pretty
Chinese
cool.
releases.
Well, that's
Also,
pretty
how
cool.
does a movie like that make $1 billion
That's
in
insane.
just one country?
Mm-hmm.
And then third, you have No Time to Die, which James Bond was a Sony product, but Sony, I guess, sold MGM, so now it's a Universal property.
That's
And hey,
crazy.
I liked No Time to Die. It wasn't as good as Casino Royale or Skyfall, or maybe even Spectre. It's.
I haven't seen any of the James Bond movies, so I don't really have an opinion on those.
No Time to Die did make me want to go back and watch some of the older ones, like the Pierce Brosnan ones, especially the Sean Connery ones.
I think I tried to watch one of the Daniel Craig ones, and I didn't really get into it that much. But then I was like, oh well, I gotta watch the Sean Connery one. That one's gotta be great. And yeah, it didn't really do anything for me.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll give him another chance one day.
He's come. They'll more obviously. Well, this was Daniel Craig's last Bond. If anything,
Mhm.
they need to cast Henry Cavill as James.
I don't know. I could see Idris Elba. I think Idris Elba would be a good James Bond. Like he was rumored to be, like he was going to be the next James Bond for a while.
I think I heard that, but I think he said he turned it down,
Mm-hmm.
or said he wasn't going to do it. But hey, time will tell.
Oh, you know what would be a really good James Bond?
Do not say Tom Holland.
Michael B. Jordan.
No.
He could do the accent. I think it would be.
He would be a good villain.
Yeah,
He would be a good. He is a villain, I think. And so currently now, though, for James Bond, you have Tom Holland and The Rock both eyeing the role.
I'm changing it. Idris Elba as James Bond, Michael B. Jordan as one of the villains. That would be friggin' sick.
But right now, I think it's Tom Holland and Dwayne Johnson both have said that they are interested in the role, but Tom Holland absolutely not. No. I love Tom Holland, but no. I don't. He's a good Spider-Man, but I don't know if he's going to be able
Andrew
to pull
Garfield.
off. I don't know if he'll be able to pull off on Nathan Drake. I don't know. I don't know if Uncharted's going to be. I'll have to see. It is an origin film, so.
What about Andrew Garfield? I think Andrew Garfield would be an interesting.
The thing is I kind of associate Bond with, I guess, because Andrew Garfield is skinnier in the suit than Tobey Maguire. I kind of associated with him with being a little bit skinnier. Bond is supposed to be a muscular, like a strong dude.
Well, yeah, no, he's
I can't. And Henry Cavill to me and plus all the I feel like he kind of would be the perfect. Dwayne Johnson would at all be a good Bond. I think he'd be a fantastic Bond villain.
Mm-hmm.
I think Dwayne Johnson would be an awesome for James Bond.
Mm-hmm.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
But I think Henry Cavill should be that, although I just wish that Warner Brothers would do something with him with Superman. Because there's a demand to get him back in that role. Just like right now, there's get Andrew Garfield back and have him do more stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's that. The fact that Spider-Man No Way Home has nearly caught No Time to Die in its entire box office run, or it's nearly this thing's been open for weeks, and it's almost caught there. Here's the question though. I wonder, will No Way Home beat Infinity War to $1 billion? Originally, The Force Awakens held the record for the fastest film to make $1 billion
Hmm.
in 12 days. And then Infinity War beat that record for 10 days. It's going to be close. It's either, I think it might be 9 days for No Way Home, but
Hmm.
Endgame has that record of fastest movie to make $1 billion because it did it in a weekend. It did it in 3 days. And it was 1.2 billion. And then it reached 2 billion the second weekend.
Hmm.
Or almost reached it. I don't know. And that's the jizz.
Interesting phrase you used there.
Something else I kind of want to go over is that, so if you recall, after Far From Home came out, Disney and Sony failed to reach a deal to keep Spider-Man in the MCU, and for like a month and a half, there was a whole thing. Oh no, Spider-Man's leaving the MCU. With the fact that this movie is a Sony movie and it blew the other 3 movies out of arc, like out of the water because it did so well. I think Sony now has, I don't think they're going to leave, but people are saying that Sony could leave the MCU now and do Spider-Man on their own because now they don't have MJ, Ned, or Happy, and then Aunt May's dead. So they could just bring in brand new characters, not even mention the others, and just do stuff like that.
That is true. And they don't
But
have
I don't.
and I mean, there's really no plans to do any like more Avengers movies. So like there's a way that
Tom Holland is signed on for more Marvel films. And obviously Spider-Man 4 is now in development.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously now Sony, I think, has more of the power of Marvel now because they straight up, in my opinion, just saved the MCU from what would be a really bad year for the MCU, which in my opinion would be their worst year. It's probably 2013 because that's when Thor: The Dark World came out.
2013 was their worst year.
What happened? Did we lose a feed? Here, let me try refreshing. I lost the feed of the live stream.
Oh no. Oh no.
Anyway, we can keep talking though because it says we're still live. But so my whole opinion is that if they renegotiate something, I think Sony's going to be like, hey, you guys had a really bad year. We pretty much did the best out of us. We ought to keep, if anything, they could try and renegotiate the old deal where Disney could only got like 10% of the box office. Now they get 25. But here's the thing, Disney has all of the merchandising rights, and they have the ability to put him in TV shows and then use him in the Avengers films.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be interesting to see. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's the jizz.
Mm-hmm. Why are you
God, saying
that? Never say that again.
Yeah. Okay, it seems just to be trouble on my end on my phone because I was having it play. So yeah, big win for Sony. 2 big wins for Sony because both of their films are profitable and 2 of the 3 MCU films have not.
Yeah. Good for you, Sony. Good for you.
Yeah. And I was always thinking, like, for a while, especially like in between Homecoming and Far From Home during the Avengers movies, I feel like Disney should have the power be able to do stuff more with Spider-Man, but I'm like, no, I feel like Sony, you made the best Spider-Man movie yet. You're more than welcome to keep Spider-Man. And they have no reason to give him up now. This is going to be their highest grossing movie by far.
Yeah.
And ultimately, I feel like having Spider-Man with Sony will keep Disney and Marvel Studios in check, I guess, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Where it'll be like, maybe they want to do something like, no, we don't want you doing that. Maybe it's for the better, but who knows?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's about all. Did you have anything else you wanted to say about Spider-Man?
I mean, we didn't really talk about much about the villains, but I mean, that was more of like the nostalgia stuff. I mean, I'll just say I thought the villains were really good.
Oh yeah, they
Uh,
even improved on some of them, like especially Electro.
yeah, no, I liked
I
the stuff
thought,
with Electro. I thought he was pretty cool. I also really, I mean, I was really excited to see Alfred Molina come back as
oh
Doc
my
Ock
gosh,
because I
yes,
loved
he
Doc Ock, and what they
is
do
the
with him was really great. But believe it or not, I actually really liked Willem Dafoe again. Like, and I love Willem Dafoe as the Green Goblin. I've always really enjoyed him. But like, I think he really shined in this movie. Like he I feel like was the one that really gave it his all.
oh
Um,
yeah, and I feel like that was and some weird dudes are typing stuff in the comments. Um, Alfred Molina's Doc Ock has always been my favorite live action Spider-Man villain,
oh, same,
followed
same.
by Willem Dafoe's Green
Well,
Goblin and
what's so great about
Michael
Alfred
Keaton's
Molina's
Vulture.
Doc Ock is that he's not a like he's more of an anti-villain in some ways. Like, if you really think about it, like he's kind of a mentor to Peter in some ways, and then he sort of falls into a tragic story with him losing his wife and his experiment gone wrong, and now he's a monster because of the mechanical arms.
You mean this experiment?
Ladies and gentlemen, fasten your seatbelts.
Yep,
That one?
that one.
Yeah, I freaking love seeing these characters back. And what kind of almost was my one criticism with the villains, almost, but then I was like, I see why they did it. It was a betterment of his character. Was when Defoe smashed his mask. I was like, no, I love that mask. But
Well,
they did it for his to show like, okay, he's
to
now
show his face,
Norman
yeah,
Osborn, and his facial expression, like his performance
as
out
the
of the
goblin,
mask,
yeah.
was so good.
Well, I also liked kind of the redesign that they did with his costume almost, where it was like it looked
He's got
like
like the
hmm
the
he has like
purple
it
on it.
almost looks like a hoodie or kind of, but it's like and it allowed his face to kind of be more expressive. So
Especially the part where I was like, "Oh snap!" was when they're on the shield that's in the water, and he's
mm-hmm.
like, "Too weak to kill me," and he's like, "I'm gonna or to save me or to send me back to die," and Tom Holland goes, "I'm gonna kill you myself," and he's like, "Atta boy." I was like, "Oh," and then Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man saves him. Did you
Mm-hmm.
think that Tobey was actually gonna die?
Um, for like a split second, but then I was like, they can't kill off. No. But then when I saw that he was like, he's okay, I was like, okay, they did a Tony Stark Infinity War thing, which I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
That's fine.
As soon as he grabbed it, I was like, "Oh no, his back goblin." And then just at the moment where you think everything's okay, he stabs him, and I was like, "Oh no, they brought back Toby just to kill him." And then the whole time he was on the ground, I thought he was going to die, like Harry Osborn style. And then
Mm-hmm.
when Andrew Garfield had him up and he was standing, I was like, "Okay, he's going to be okay." And then he got sent back.
Mm-hmm.
So ultimately, I was okay with that. I liked seeing the Sandman
Yeah.
again because his name escapes me, but the guy who
Flip,
plays him,
Thomas Hayden Church.
yes,
Mm-hmm.
he
Love Thomas Hayden Church.
was
Great
a
actor.
huge standout in Spider-Man 3. In a not so
Mm-hmm.
great movie, it's a decent,
Yeah.
okay movie.
Yeah.
He was the best villain in that one, arguably.
Mm-hmm. No, I
He was
agree.
one of three.
Yeah. Which is part of the problem
Uh,
with that movie. But
oh yeah,
different conversation for a different day. But
different
anyway.
conversation. But it's better than both TASM films. And actually, I want to talk because I mentioned that even though I do not like I think the Amazing Spider-Man is but the Amazing Spider-Man 2 is awful.
I like it a little bit more, but no, I kind of agree.
I sat through that movie like because I forced myself to watch. I was like, ugh, I forgot why. I completely remember now why I don't like this movie. But Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man was never a criticism. I was like, he's a great Spider-Man. I like,
Yeah.
especially
I
in
just
Amazing
wish he
Spider-Man
had
2, he
better
doesn't much.
movies.
They just botched it. But in this movie, Andrew Garfield stole the show.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Especially the parts where he, like, Electro's, he's like, Max, we're back together again. And he's like, you ain't nothing,
yeah.
as Electro says. It was, oh man, when they were,
I like that reference to Miles Morales,
oh yeah,
where he's like,
somewhere out
when I
there.
heard you were from Queens, I'm like, I could have swore you were black.
I feel
I'm
like
like,
that
yeah,
was their
hey,
little
he's like, there's gotta be
insert
a
to be
black
like, hey, you never know, that maybe there is, maybe we'll do him.
Donald Glover is
Is
the Prowler.
Yeah, I know that.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know he was the Prowler until Spider-Verse.
He's the uncle of Miles Morales, and
Oh,
he
yeah.
does mention he has a nephew. So
I just hope
hey,
when
he's in the universe. Miles Morales is in the universe. So
we got Spooter saying,
hi, Scooter. Hey, Scooter.
So yeah, what was I going to say next? I feel like what they should do for like the Miles template is follow the template of both Spider-Verse and the PS4 video game, because Miles Morales is the PS4 video game. Obviously, he's got his own solo game now, which I still have to play, but I don't have the PS5. Ultimately, what it is for a couple of Peter Parker films, I think after they do him graduating from college, or while he's in college, they should introduce Miles Morales, not as Spider-Man, but just introduce the character. Then have him get bit by the spider, and then do a film where Peter trains.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to kill off Peter, then do it. I don't know how that'll go well. Maybe do the alternate universe type thing. Or like where you bring him in from an alternate universe, or you can do it like the template in the PS4 game. I don't know what they're gonna do in the PS4 in the game universe. Are they gonna because now there's two Spider-Mans, and in Spider-Man 2, they're both there. I wonder if they're going to. I really hope they don't kill off the White Spider-Man in the games, because we just got him, and Spooter has. I'd love to see Caleb McLaughlin as Miles Morales. I hope I got that right.
McLaughlin.
Let's
he
look.
Would be interesting. He would be.
Let's look him up and look. I can see it.
Mm-hmm.
What's he? Have I seen him in anything? He's in Stranger Things.
Oh yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. I could see him. I think he would.
Apparently,
I think he would be a good.
Dora the Explorer movie a couple years ago. Oh, and he's my age. He's 20. Well, I'm 19. What'd you say about what'd you say?
Dora the Explorer, the cinematic classic.
I heard that movie was cheesy, but it wasn't bad. Like it was good, but it was cheesy.
It is cheesy,
but like
it's not bad.
If you get when you think of Dora the Explorer, all I think of is cringe.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. See it. I don't personally have a someone I would cast as Miles Morales. I know a lot of people wanted Donald Glover to be him, but he is a hint older.
Yeah, well, he's also the Prowler, so.
Well, before he was cast as his character, before he was cast, and before he was.
I could see that, but honestly, I am going with Caleb McLaughlin. I think he would be really good.
Yeah. Ultimately, though, what you need to do is you need to find somebody who's right now he's 20, but I feel like when they decide in several years down the line, okay, we're gonna introduce Miles Morales. They need to do like what they did with Tom Holland, is bring in a 19, 20-year-old.
Mm-hmm. You're freezing. You froze. Hello. I am stealing the live stream now. I'm stealing the live stream now. I'm stealing the live stream now. Because Liam Bros. But yeah, no, Spider-Man No Way Home was really good. I liked a lot of, sorry, my finger's in the way. But yeah, no, I really enjoyed Spider-Man No Way Home. I thought it was very good. I thought it was very entertaining. Very funny. Liam? Liam, you have a derpy face. Are you back?
Yes.
Bro.
What the heck?
I stole the live stream. Haha.
Scooter, Electro is messing with Liam.
Yep, pretty much.
That
pretty much.
is. I'm
Out
Electro.
am I?
Yeah, how much I suck.
Yeah, how much I
It's,
sacrifice.
excellent. Excellent.
I can't do
Scooter.
the eye bulge like he does, but
That is an excellent.
yeah, how much
That's
I sacrifice.
best comment of the night.
Hmm.
Definitely. Okay, there we go.
Your
Oh, I forgot what I was saying as I was leaving. Oh yeah, I remember now. Is it Miles Morales? They need to cast somebody who's like 19 or 20, so that way he, so that way he can be Miles Morales for years to come.
Mm-hmm.
So that's that.
Oh yeah, of course.
Oh, I gotta. There we go. So that's that.
Overall, good movie. I really enjoyed it.
Oh yeah. Ultimately, though, this is the third Marvel movie in literally 3 years, 4 years technically.
Well,
that
and actually, I'll say this: this is the first third Spider-Man movie that's actually really friggin' good.
Yeah.
Because Spider-Man 3, I have a soft spot for Spider-Man 3, but like I ultimately acknowledge it's not that great a movie. The Andrew Garfield series never got a third movie.
Nope.
And now this has a third movie. It's like, wow, Tom Holland's trilogy, which was the trilogy itself was just kind of good, is now like is the only one that has a good third, like a really good third movie.
Mm-hmm.
That's
And
insane.
Scooter asks, before any problems you had with the movie? Jordan, I'll let you go first.
My only issue is that, well, since it's spoiler territory, it really is a nitpick. Some of the CGI I didn't think was that great. There were some moments where I was like, it did kind of bug me that like Doc Ock, because here's the thing. In the Sam Raimi movie, Doc Ock's tentacles are actually puppets. Like they were like legit puppets that they CGI'd like some of the strings out of it. And they maybe have enhanced a little bit of the puppetry, like
some moments were CGI, but when they were CGI, Doc Ock was also CGI.
Yeah. In the so yeah, No Way Home, I felt like there was a little bit too much of it. And I get it. It's a big budget Marvel movie, so I'm not gonna rip into too much. The other nitpick with that though was that I felt like it was a little difficult knowing the difference between each of the Spider-Man suits. Because what was it like? The only one I was able to kind of tell was because they were all CG. So they were just like, oh, okay, it's like, which Spider-Man is that? Which one, and it was also a scene set at night. So like it was pitch black. So it's like they should have like filtered it a little bit more to where like the colors popped a little bit. You would have been able to tell the difference. The only one I could actually tell was Tom Holland, because like
he was black and gold while the others
he was
were
black and gold, and like I could tell the design was a little different, but like I could barely tell half the time. The only time was whenever they did a close up on their face was when I was like, okay, that's Tobey Maguire. Oh, that's Andrew Garfield. And it's weird because you can tell the difference with their heads, because from what I actually heard this. So all of the Spider-Mans, with the exception of Tom Holland, they have another like kind of helmet inside the mask, so you can't see. So they keep the chin kind of that way. You know how like he has like that chin like that.
Yep.
They have like a specific helmet inside the mask, so that his chin stays like that.
Mhm.
So it's never really their head, even though it's supposed to be like, oh, that's just a slide-on mask. And both Toby's Spider-Man and Andrew's Spider-Man had that helmet in there. Tom Holland is, I think, the only one where it's he literally just puts it straight on.
Yeah. I don't.
But yeah, those were my only issues. Liam went out again. Jordan is taking over the live stream. Jordan is taking over the live stream. Yes, 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 yes. But yeah, those were my only issues with the movie. I didn't really have honest, and then maybe little nitpicks here and there. There were maybe one or two moments that I didn't really find that funny. But those are Marvel issues and not really issues with anything else. But no, everything else I thought was actually really enjoyable. I do want to see it a third time. I do really want to see it a third time to sort of see if it still kind of holds up, because my hype for it has kind of died a little bit. It has kind of dwindled a little bit, which is nice. But yeah, I think I'm back. I think I'm the only one on this live stream now. Wow. Wow, the whole show is myself, man. Wow. Oh my gosh. I wonder if Liam is actually going to come back. Oh, there he is. He's back.
It is Electro messing with me because every time I speak, I get cut.
Mm-hmm.
But thank you for holding down the fort for me, Jordan. I'll say Spooner does have another comment, but I'll answer. Cut Liam and Frank, Electro. Damn it. But back to this question. Some of my problems, I recognized them after I saw the movie because I went and watched reviews and pointed out is that Doctor Strange said people who came in knew Peter Parker was Spider-Man. Electro never knew who Peter was.
Electro never knew. Yeah.
On top of that, one of the interesting questions that I feel like should get addressed later down the line, maybe in Multiverse of Madness, is so these characters are now cured when they go and they're sent back to their universes. So if they're cured, does that mean that Doc Ock doesn't die trying to sink the thing, his machine?
Yeah.
And or does Green Goblin not get the gliders stabbed into him? Because if it does, and that radically changed the story of Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man. With that also being said, that was one of the questions. But I think it is that the Tobey Maguire and the Andrew Garfield that we see in the movies, lots of time has passed between Spider-Man 3 and when we see him in No Way Home. And then lots of time has passed when we see Andrew Garfield in Amazing Spider-Man 2 and now. So I think these are villains from their past. And so when they go back, I don't think it changes their timeline. And also the way time travel set up in the MCU is that you change something, it doesn't change that reality. It just branches off a new timeline.
Yeah.
And then the TVA would destroy that timeline. But obviously now the TVA doesn't exist. Or it doesn't not exist. It's just that Sylvie killed.
Spoilers! I haven't seen Loki.
Dude, that's your fault. I get people saying spoilers for Spider-Man, but the fact that you haven't seen Loki till now.
It doesn't.
But no, the TVA doesn't go away. It just something happens. I won't say the rest of it.
Spoiler.
You could have said, "Hey, I should have said something when you said you were about to start watching Loki." And then on top of that, I wasn't a big fan of I didn't love Peter's black and gold suit. I realized it was just the red and black suit inside out.
Why do they keep trying to hammer that suit in? Because they tried doing that in Far From Home, and I'm like the stealth suit or whatever.
It wasn't. I thought it was going to be an electric. I didn't like the stealth suit very much. I just thought
Is that what it was
Oh,
called?
it's-
Yeah.
the black
Yeah.
suit in Far From
The
Home,
only
but this
reason
one
why
I
I
thought
liked
was a
it was
brand
because
new
it was probably-
suit that I thought this was a brand new suit that but no, it's just in the black and red suit inside out.
Mhm. The only reason why I liked that stealth suit in Far From Home was because it led to one of my favorite lines in the entire movie. Night Monkey! I loved
That is
everything
fun,
with
yeah.
Night Monkey.
Mm-hmm.
He's
That
a
was
rip-off
fun.
of Spider-Man. He's not really that popular. He's
Yeah,
called Night Monkey. Night Monkey, come help us!
What else? Also, people keep saying that like the first 30 minutes of the movie kind of aren't that great. I didn't have a problem with them that much.
I see what they're talking about. I disagree a little bit because
I was fine with it.
Because you need that setup. You need the setup. The movie's gonna be just a little bit slow in the beginning. No movie starts
Mhm.
off that great. You gotta work your way up to it though.
And this was
There's
one.
very few movies that start off like this is the greatest thing ever. But
And then there's this there's one comment that Spooter made in between his Electro and movie comment where this is another criticism, and I can see where this is. He says a problem was that he had that was that Strange was that he felt that he was out of character. He was outsmarted by Peter when math, and he didn't think to ask Peter which people he wanted to remember his identity before the spell. Which that has been said. I will also say that Strange's wig looked awful in some scenes. Because in the scene where he first sees Peter, it's like super slicked back and it doesn't look good. But then like once it's down, like what it's been in an Infinity War and his own movie, it looks better. And then I did expect Strange to win that fight between him and Peter. And then when Peter thought of that, oh, it's math. I ultimately didn't have a problem with the math part because Peter is supposed to be an extremely smart individual. Like I want to say that some of the like he's up there with Tony Stark, maybe not as smart as Tony. Maybe I don't remember. Reed Richards, Bruce Banner, those types. He's extremely smart.
yeah.
So the
And
whole
he's a
math
kid,
part
so it's
didn't
like,
bother me
yeah.
that much. But I kind of had to like, bro, you better let Strange out of there or else type deal when I saw him or when he did that. Yeah, Strange did maybe a little bit. Also, another criticism I have.
I could see that. It didn't really bother me that much because I think
He said, I get that. Peter is really smart, but yes,
an
going up in
Sorcerer
X.
Supreme,
I didn't like that he's no longer the Sorcerer Supreme. I get that I get because he blipped. He's not the
I
Sorcerer
wonder if
Supreme
they're going to
anymore
address that in Multiverse of Madness.
because Wong's now the Sorcerer Supreme.
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, that just makes me not a big fan of the blip. I think the blip, there's a lot to say about the blip. Like the whole 5-year jump, a lot. Some things I like about that, some things I don't. It was like, oh, it's interesting, but at the same time, when the people blip back, the Avengers didn't tell anybody. So like for instance, and then the way they did it, what if somebody blipped when they were in a plane?
Yeah, that's one of those
30,000
feet,
feet, and then
you can't
blipped
really
back.
think too hard about it, or it's just not going to make any sense. It's like it's a comic book movie, you know.
Yeah.
But
Ultimately, some YouTubers I watch bring that up, and I'm like, oh, they got a point, but I don't really think about it too much.
yeah, it's
Ultimately
it's all
the
part of
Warp
the
Zone.
character's journey.
The Warp Zone did a hilarious skit about that when it happened. So yeah. About where it's like air traffic control and they're like, oh, there's a bunch of they hear all the sounds of people falling. And then then they fall and it's like technical error, back to work. You have to look at that. The Warp Zone Infinity War. It was pretty funny.
I'll have to look that up.
And then, yeah, I think that's it. But yeah, maybe they'll address that in Multiverse of Madness, which now I'm looking a little bit more forward to. And hey, did you see Strange's new costume?
Multiverse of Madness.
It looks
I
more
love
like
the teaser at the end.
Oh yeah, it
where
looks
they
more
actually
comic
showed the full-
accurate.
And I know they probably just wanted to show the teaser just to show the teaser, but I did find a very interesting connection with that teaser. Who is directing Multiverse of Madness?
Sam Raimi.
Sam Raimi, and this was a Spider-Man movie where all the Spider-Man from his movies are in this movie. So I was like, oh, that's a fun little connection.
Scarlet Witch is finally coming back, so
yeah, I'm excited for her. I've always felt like they were underutilized in the MCU, both her and Vision,
doing it wrong way.
which is one of the reasons why I am one of those people that will defend WandaVision to my dying day.
I think WandaVision was
Toby could be in the Multiverse of Madness. I think so.
ultimately for WandaVision. It
like a
started off
cameo or
so
something.
dang
That'd be fun.
strong. It started off so dang strong with the first couple episodes, and then the way they handled the ending with the whole, the fact that it's been told that she was torturing those people, like on the inside of their heads, they were being tortured.
If anything,
And then when it's all said and done, he ends people end up. This made me absolutely lose all interest in Monica Rambeau because I started off liking her at the beginning, but then towards the end, it's like they'll never know what you did for them, and I'm like, you tortured them for months. What are you talking about? I was like, no. So that sucked. And then what they did with Quicksilver.
I was like, oh my gosh, are we gonna get Quicksilver? Are we gonna get, are we gonna get like the X-Men or whatever? It's like that'd be really cool. And nope.
Did you see the character with the star on the back of their jacket in the
American
Chavez?
Chavez, I think is her name.
Which I've heard is a character that's actually not super popular. And then people were going,
I've heard.
Why are we getting this character before we're getting, I don't know, the Fantastic Four, the X-Men, Silver Surfer?
They're still trying to figure that out.
Yeah. I'm just glad though that the guy who directed all of the Spider-Man movies, John Watts, he's making the Fantastic Four.
Yeah, I'm very excited.
Which I have to say, the only other person or directors that I think could give us a good Fantastic Four would be the Russo brothers, but they're taking a break.
Yeah.
I love how unique WandaVision is, though, and it's more dialogue-oriented rather than action all the time. That I thought was deep.
Yeah,
I will say,
one of the things
I thought the final battle between Wanda and Agatha was pretty dang good.
Yeah.
And then Vision versus Vision fight was pretty cool.
I'm also a sucker for like old like sitcoms. So like seeing kind of those paying homage to like those old like sitcoms and stuff like that, I thought was actually really cool.
It kind of too reminded me of Pleasantville, and I was like,
yeah, it did. Yeah,
which also stars Tobey Maguire.
Mm-hmm. Reese Witherspoon, yeah, too.
Oh yeah, that was a good movie. Then you have
Pleasantville was really good.
Yeah, movies before my time in the 90s.
Yeah,
at least I think it was in the late 90s. I think.
Mm-hmm.
That
was right. I think that was right before. I think that was right before the first Spider-Man.
Yeah, I'm a huge Malcolm in the Middle fan, and that intro with the Marvel theme was so brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wanted to real quick say something about this comment right here because it reminded me of something I was thinking of. I think the next day after I saw the movie when you came to the shop, is that what they could do is if they wanted to, and if Sony really wanted to make a lot of money and build off the hype of this movie, is have Toby and Andrew come back, team up with Tom Holland, and fight some threat that is threatening to destroy the multiverse. Like something is just threatening the multiverse.
Like what
And
they
just-
did in this movie.
Well, I mean, like this was a spell that got loose. This could be like a villain that is threatening the multiverse, or maybe one that's jumping across
So
the
more like a
multiverse.
physical threat than
Yeah, I don't know anything about this character, but with what the rumors were at the beginning of when Spider-Man 3 was being made about how Kraven the Hunter could be hunting Spider-Man in that movie, I was like, what if they make it so Kraven the Hunter can jump between the dimensions and he's killing Spider-Man? It's a long shot, but maybe not him, but
that
some
is a
villain.
really big long shot. I don't think they would ever do something like that especially with Kraven the Hunter. Like you have to I think they would have to do like a standard movie with Spider-Man fighting Kraven the Hunter before they do anything like that. And honestly, I don't see Kraven the Hunter doing something like that.
Probably not. Spooter says all three will probably meet again in Secret War, since that's like a multiversal war tournament.
Oh yeah, I could see that.
That'd be epic.
I could see that happening.
To bounce off of that, I'm actually looking forward to Armor Wars, which is another one of those Disney Plus shows coming out, because depending on in my opinion, they got to bring Sam Rockwell back as Justin Hammer.
Yeah, he has not been a thing since
Iron Man 2.
Iron Man 2, yeah.
And the only thing I know he's done since then, because I saw him in one of the trailers, is the movie that they did, Vice, with Christian Bale, when he was Dick Cheney, and then Sam Rockwell was George W. Bush. And I was like, that actually looks like George W. Bush.
Yeah.
But yeah, they got to bring him back, and then they could do the Titanium Man type thing, and have more War Machine. Hey, I'll take more War Machine.
Right? I feel like he might be like the mentor now, kind of like how Hawkeye was in Hawkeye. Or
you want to talk about Hawkeye?
Yeah, sure. Let's
check. Hey, Spooter, did you watch the finale of Hawkeye? He says, yeah, give him a second to answer if he's seen the finale of Hawkeye. If so, we'll talk about it. If not, we won't cover it because he's our only viewer, and we won't spoil it for him. He says he can't wait for Moon Knight. I can't. I think that's actually going to be good too, because
I'm really interested to see Oscar Isaac's in that.
Oh yeah. And he says yes, he saw it and it was brilliant. Okay, good. So we can spoil it,
and we can break your heart. Because
Spooter, I don't think we both have high opinions of it. I think with all the Marvel shows, they've been like a C.
I'll disagree a little bit on that, but
like fluctuating within
Hawkeye,
the C.
Well, I will say Hawkeye is the only one that I've, outside of WandaVision, is the only one that I've watched all the way through. So I'll give it that. It actually kept my interest until now.
I told you about something that seemed to happen, in my opinion, with Loki, Falcon and Winter Soldier, and WandaVision, is that they all started really strong. And then somewhere halfway...
WandaVision was the opposite for me. I thought it started really weak.
They
and then
fumbled
got better as it went on, yeah.
WandaVision, in my opinion, fumbled the ball around the 6th or 7th episode. I think. Where it was, even with all the stuff where Agatha was going through Wanda's past and everything, I was like,
that was my favorite. That was one of my favorite episodes.
Yeah, I liked it too. Spooter, I didn't hate it. I just didn't love it. It's like in the middle.
Hawkeye. So let's talk about Hawkeye. Let's try to keep focused.
Well, I'm kind of making. So that's what I was saying. So like the couple the MCU shows before Hawkeye, I was like, they started off really strong and then kind of fumbled. With Hawkeye, it actually started for me kind of. And then got a little bit better. I would say the last episode is the best episode.
See, my big thing with Hawkeye
did not, in my opinion, do as good as they could, especially with the character that they finally introduced in that episode.
See,
as in being Kingpin.
Oh, I got opinions about that. So
I'll let you go first, Jordan. What did you think?
Okay, so
wait, real quick. Have you seen Daredevil? Have you seen Daredevil?
For this,
have you seen Daredevil?
I've only
I
seen, like,
haven't. Okay, so I haven't seen any of the Marvel Netflix shows either. So
okay, so I'm not the only one. Okay.
I didn't see them because I
Well,
did.
the thing is, they don't
They weren't
connect to the
canon.
movie. They don't connect to the
No,
movies, or at least not until now.
I don't. I
Like,
don't
they
know if
never
they're gonna
did. So it's
recanon.
like,
Here's the question: are they gonna recanonize it, or are they going to do a completely different show? We'll have to
I
see.
don't know.
If they recanonize it, I'll watch the show. If they don't and they make another show, I'll watch it anyway.
No, I think that's, yeah. So it's like Vincent D'Onofrio is the Kingpin. Everybody has talked about him,
I've heard he's fantastic.
and I hear he's very fantastic. I mean, I love Vincent D'Onofrio too. I think he's a great actor. Um, this he was really weird in this episode for me because there were times where I legitimately found him intimidating.
I'm in the
Okay,
same
he
boat
hasn't seen
too. I haven't seen Daredevil, but seeing Charlie Cox in No Way Home
Mhm.
and Vincent makes
No,
me
I
want.
think they're
Yes,
good.
yes, but it'll
But,
depend on if they canonize the show
yeah.
because I've heard that Daredevil's really good. Luke Cage was decent. Jessica Jones, I think the first season was decent, and then I just heard Iron Fist is awful.
I am one of the only people that I really got into Jessica Jones.
And then they
I
did the Defenders, which I heard was decent.
I really like Jessica, like the show, like Jessica Jones. I really liked Jessica Jones. But then there was an episode where they like tried to like add in some like sort of magic element, and I was like, no, I don't, it doesn't, this doesn't work with the character that you're setting up here in the universe that you're setting up here. And this is apparently supposed to be in the Avengers universe. So it's like, I'm
Yeah.
like, so no. But up until then, I really enjoyed it. And I do like Jessica Jones as a character. I think she's really cool. But no, what was I saying with Vincent D'Onofrio? Vincent D'Onofrio is weird in this show because there are times where he's like legitimately intimidating. And then there's times where he sounds like a robot when he's acting.
A little bit.
Like there were moments where he talked like this. He was trying to be intimidating. And it's like, it's one thing to do that because it's like you want to
I
be,
wonder if it's because like different creators, you had different people attached to the TV show on Netflix versus here. So I wonder if that had anything to do with it.
Yeah, I'm sure that
I
did.
have heard all this and having played the video game where the very first villain you fight is Kingpin.
Mm-hmm. Well, Kingpin is a very popular villain in the Marvel universe.
Yeah, having fought him, I'm like, oh, this is a big bad dude, and I sort of got that. I thought he was very intimidating when talking to Maya's brother and talking to Eleanor Bishop.
Mm-hmm.
And then when he was straight up fighting Haley Steinfeld, where every time she'd try and do something, he just throw her to
that was cool.
the other side of the
store,
and it literally took her doing the thing to get him, which I was like, okay, that was clever of her.
Yeah,
but then he's in the alley and Maya pulls up, and I have not been a very big fan of Maya very much. I just haven't thought she was that interesting, other than the backstory.
I like Maya.
The backstory scenes with the Ronin and how he killed her father, I thought that was really interesting, but I just never got into her as a character as an adult.
Well, I will say this, that kind of does lead to my big issue with Hawkeye, is that on the one hand, I felt like it didn't take me until this final episode to realize what the hell was actually going on. Because I get that Hawkeye was trying to like rectify a lot of his past with like the Ronin like persona, but it became way too complicated. And maybe that's the point. And don't get me wrong, I acknowledge, I think that's probably the point. I'm one of those people where I'm like, you have to have something that's kind of like the central focus to kind of keep me invested, and like that be sort of like the driving like point. And to me, I felt like it got a little too convoluted, and some of the directions that they went with, like adding Kingpin in there, like I didn't even realize they were building up Kingpin until the end of the last episode.
Oh, I
I
knew
was
because
like,
in
what?
the back
When,
in
now
the
that now you guys are building up this guy, like they can't.
I kind of got the notice that they were going to do something with him because in the flashbacks where with Maya as a little girl and her dad is doing something is with her, he goes and there's like somebody that does like the little thing on her cheek and it's a really big dude, a really big hand, and I'm like, oh wait, that's Kingpin, I bet.
Mm-hmm.
And then they
I'm
showed
sure
him
it
in the
was.
last
Yeah.
episode.
I don't. Maybe. Yeah, I missed that. Maybe. You know what? I should probably rewatch it again, and maybe I'll enjoy it a little bit more, which is rare because I never go back and rewatch shows. I have not rewatched WandaVision.
I haven't
Um,
rewatched any of the Marvel shows.
I usually
'cause I have
watch
no
it once
interest
and
to.
then I'm done.
The only
You
between
froze. There you go.
between Ultron Vision and all of the What If characters.
Yeah.
Because I thought
I haven't
because
watched What If either.
I think
hear
What If
is
actually
really good.
is the best of the show. I think What If is actually the best Marvel show
Mhm.
because they take all of these stories that they tell in one episode and then they put it in all together in the last couple episodes.
Yeah.
And the What If Ultron 1 episode
Mhm.
was so dang good.
Mhm.
They hinted at him a lot during the season, like the boss, the big guy, uncle, since it's Maya's uncle.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
No. I probably need to watch it again, and then I'll pick it up more and be like, oh, okay, that's what they were hinting at. And hey, if I watch it again, I might honestly, I think, enjoy it a little bit more. So I'll give it that. It's honestly probably one of that I actually do want to go back and watch again. The more I kind of think about it, honestly.
I will say, I think I liked this one better than Loki. Maybe a little bit better than WandaVision. I did not like Loki very much. I'll just put that in context.
Really?
Falcon and the Winter Soldier for me
I
was
hear Loki's really good. I've heard really.
so dang disappointing.
I
Well,
have
I
no
won't-
interest to watching Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I feel bad because I like Sam Wilson,
Well, here's the thing: is I was expecting something
and I really want.
in the
more-
vein of the Winter Soldier with those two, and to see a little bit of a bro dynamic type thing, and I didn't get that at all. Plus, the villain in the show is so underwhelming, and you've seen Solo, right?
Yeah.
You know the big reveal when Infus Nest takes off her helmet. Oh, it's a girl.
Mm-hmm.
After that point, in my opinion, I felt Infus Nest lost all the cool of that character. Plus, I just don't think she's that good of she's not good at playing the role of a villain. I think if she's in a regular movie, not as a villain, I think she'd be fine. But she just doesn't work as a villain. She did not work as Infus Nest. Like all the coolness and ultimately, shoot, I lost my train of thought. She's the main villain, Carly, in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and she just does not do well as the villain. That was my whole thing. The Flag Smashers, which is the villain, in fact, they just are not at all convincing to be evil.
Oh.
Like they should have done something with Hydra, and they didn't.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you guys are comic fans or not, but I can tell you the outcome of Kingpin and Maya and the final scene of them in the episode. Spooter, I never had access to comics as a kid, so I never got to read them.
Same.
The only comic I have is because it was in one of the bulk bins at the store that I work at, and it's a Lego store, a Lego buy sell trade store, and they had a comic in it. Was a comic book. It was a reprint of the very first the introduction of the Justice League with the Starro on it, and they let me take it home, and so it's in the back here. I haven't read it, still sealed, but that scene
I have a few old
actually
Avengers comics.
ultimately I was like, well, that sucked because I don't know if he dies because Maya shoots him, but it doesn't show. But if he
I'm really curious if they actually killed him off.
If they
because,
did, I'd be like, what the heck?
Like
you just
you
went
build
through
him up.
you just
throughout
went through this
entire
whole
series,
thing
and
where
then you kill him off. It's like
he beat the crap out of Kate Bishop in a fist fight, and literally now he's just dead because Maya shot him.
Mm-hmm.
He survived an arrow, but didn't survive. We've both seen it, Spoder. Go ahead. It's fine. He says, I can tell you, but it's a spoiler. Go ahead. We've seen the show. It doesn't matter
go
to us.
ahead.
We're okay. Go ahead.
But yeah.
But yeah, when that moment, I was like, oh, you got to be kidding me, really?
I will say, though, as a positive with Hawkeye, I legitimately liked the relationship between Kate Bishop and Hawkeye. I thought that friendship was actually really good.
Oh, yeah. And ultimately, I think what made it work
I thought they
versus
really
other...
explored Hawkeye's character while at the same time introducing Kate Bishop, who I actually really enjoyed. I really liked Haley Steinfeld, how you say your last name?
Steinfeld.
I keep almost saying Seinfeld too, and I'm like, no, it's not Seinfeld.
I used to say Steinfeld.
Yeah, but no, she's really
for
great.
me,
I love her. Very
Kate
funny.
Bishop is one of those characters that I think I've known about for the longest time, but
same.
never have seen before. And ultimately, I like Kate Bishop as a character. I think I could have used a little more of the training from Hawkeye and having to because obviously,
well, I don't think they went
the
into too much
backstory
with the training because I think she already had enough training in general. Like, if anything,
I know, because in the backstory, she knows how to shoot a bow and arrow. She knows how to defend herself and knows how to fight.
You know, she
ultimately, I feel like that's Falcon without the serum. Yet he still's able to throw the shield, because obviously, I don't know if you've seen the little things, but you see him throwing the shield.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have the serum. Bucky has the serum. Steve had the serum, but he doesn't. I'm like, how is he able to do something like that without the extra bit? So I feel like we should have gotten a little bit more. I'm okay that we didn't, but I would have liked to have gotten a little bit more of Hawkeye, assassin, shield agent, bow and arrow training from him to her.
Yeah.
So, okay. Maybe there's still some to come, because I don't know if she's like officially Hawkeye now and he's retired. If so, I don't think they did that very well.
Yeah, I would have. Yeah,
I would have liked to have seen something better. But ultimately, she's going to end up being Hawkeye, which I think I'll be okay with, because she's one of the replacements.
Of Hawkeye?
I don't think so. Maybe
because they usually have done. The only show that's getting a season 2 is Loki.
And What If?
Yeah, and What If? But yeah, I would be interested to see if they do a season 2 of Hawkeye, mainly just to kind of like give a little bit more depth to Kate Bishop and make her be like, oh no, she's going to be the new Hawkeye now.
Which I'm fine with them making her the new Hawkeye. They just have to do it well through the story. Ultimately, if that's where they start up next time we see her, I feel like it wouldn't have been done well.
Yeah.
Maybe on the Barton farm, he'll train her like the way he was training his daughter right before they blipped.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. Spooter responded. He said, he becomes blind from that gunshot. It's done in the comics, and they will definitely go into an Echo series this year or next year.
Oh,
it didn't look like something interesting. Is it didn't look like she was aiming at his face. It looked like he was aiming more at like his neck right here or something.
Mm-hmm.
Which, if that's the case, okay. Blind. When did they do that comic? Was it a couple years ago, or was it like a long time ago? Like before comics started going downhill. And I honestly am like, on the Echo series coming out. I have not very big. I'll watch it, but I don't have that much interest in it because I didn't love Echo as a character. And just like
who's Echo?
Agatha Harkness, I don't think I needed to get a show about her.
Mm-hmm.
I know you and I discussed that, I think, but I didn't need to see I don't need an Agatha Harkness show.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, ultimately, what it's going to do is it's going to add, I guess, backstory to her character. And to be honest, she is the most interesting character in the TV shows.
We don't need that much. I think
interesting
we already
villain.
know
interesting, I will say, because it was a couple of years ago, I believe. Okay, so it was probably recent. So I don't. Yeah, Maya's Echo, right? Yeah, that I put together. I don't think I'm cool.
Okay. Okay.
I don't think I like that very much because does it, unless he like is able to do like the Kanan from Star Wars type deal where he's able to do it fight with
One thing
being blind.
one thing I want to say about uh the series and with the Echo character, whatever the Maya
Maya, yeah.
character. I actually realized through this show, I honestly like how people utilize sign language in like shows, like where there is a deaf character. It's a weird thing I noticed, but like there have been shows that I've watched where there's been like a character who's been deaf and they use sign language and stuff like that. And like movies, one of my favorite movies is A Quiet Place, and there's a deaf character in Quiet Place, and I love the way that like sign language is used through film like that, and how like people can act through sign language. Like I know it's a weird thing, but it's like I think that's really cool. I think it's, and I feel like I can get even more emotion out of that than having somebody talk all the time. So I thought that was actually that was a little I thought that was nice.
I think maybe because we got it back to back, where we just got the Eternals, where there was a deaf character, and then Hawkeye with a deaf character. It was like, okay, this fast. That was weird. I didn't have a okay, so I didn't have a problem with the deaf character in Eternals. I actually liked the. I didn't think I was going to like
character in Eternals. Oh wait, yeah, there was.
Where like at the very beginning when they're
Eternals.
introduced,
Eternals
they're fighting
sucked.
where they're fighting the bad guys, and she says to, I forget their names, but the Kumail Nanjiani's character with the laser beams out of his fingers, she goes like, "Nice move," and he goes, "You too." And I was like, "Okay, I'm getting into this." And she, even though she could do sign language, I could tell like from her face that she was definitely, she did a really good job. I thought she was an interesting character, even though I didn't find that much interest in the Eternals characters. She was one I actually had somewhat of an interest in.
Mm-hmm.
I had a little interest in Ikaris, the main Eternal who dies first. I had a little interest in the girl that likes the girl that marries Ikaris and they break up. I had no interest in the kid with the red hair.
Yeah,
I had no interest.
I thought she had an interesting like backstory, but like they never went anywhere with it. So
I didn't have a huge interest in Angelina Jolie's character or the character that I think it's the Asian guy that's with the guy that looks like kind of reminded me of Wong. That's always with her. I didn't have an interest in the guy that is able to create technology. I did think it was interesting though. His backstory is he worked on the Manhattan Project, and he was there in Nagasaki or Hiroshima. That was interesting. And then I had who am I missing? I had a little bit of interest in Kumail Nanjiani's character, the guy that plays me. And then I didn't care about discount Ezra Miller character, the guy that looked like Ezra Miller. I had no interest in him whatsoever.
I just don't like Eternals.
Yeah, Eternals.
I don't give a shit about Eternals.
I didn't hate it, but it is so forgettable. Like
awful.
I can hardly remember that movie. At least Shang-Chi and Black Widow I can remember, even though I don't like Black Widow that much. At least I can remember those two. Yeah. Spooter says A Quiet Place was a fantastic movie.
Right?
I haven't seen it.
Isn't it great? I love that
but
movie.
John Krasinski and Emily Blunt are.
I need to see the second one. I still need to see the second one.
I heard the second one was not good.
Really?
Yeah, I heard it was awful.
I've heard opposite. I heard it was pretty solid.
Well,
but I've
YouTuber I watched called
the first one though. So that's my one little like kind of, that's one of the reasons why I haven't seen it yet, because I'm just like, I want to watch the first one again and then watch it kind of back to back and see how well it compares. But No, I
Yeah.
love the first one. That's one of my favorite, probably one of my favorite horror movies. Like top.
This it's a horror movie. I have no I my history with horror movies. I've only seen 2.
Yeah. But hey,
This
you
is
see
all I
2
have
of
to
the
say
best,
about the
so-
Eternals. This is all I have to say about the Eternals right here.
Fuck this guy!
You're just gonna utilize that any chance you can.
Oh yeah. Spooter says I thought part 2 was pretty great. There's a YouTuber
Okay.
I watch called Filmento, and he does like anatomy of a failure or a success, and he said
You know
his-
what? I have seen this guy. I know him.
and sometimes he has really good takes, sometimes he doesn't. I mean, he did a really good video on the Tomorrow War and a good video on the Snyder Cut. And ultimately, though, he bashed Let There Be Carnage and No Time to Die. And I was like, really? He did also, though, prop up and completely praise Free Guy. And I loved Free Guy. With Ryan Reynolds. Have you seen it?
No, I haven't seen it yet.
Bro, you got to go see it. It's like, it's that one, it's just
I
a
hear it's
movie that you
funny.
can
I-
have a
I've heard
lot
it's
of.
pretty funny. So
Have you seen Ready Player One?
no.
That was also
Which
a
I need to
Spielberg
see
movie.
because it's a Steven Spielberg movie, and I have to see it.
Spooter says Let There Be Carnage was pretty average. I gave it either a 7 or 8 out of 10. I
agree. But I thought it was very like entertaining in a
Yeah.
way that like it could kind of ride on like being it's so bad it's enjoyable kind of entertaining.
Yeah.
But I think it was more aware than I think the first movie was. I haven't seen the first movie though, but from what I've heard, the first one is like people like the first one on a like, oh, it's a cheesy 90s movie kind of feel.
I didn't-
Whereas I feel like the second one I feel like was more aware of what it was trying to be.
I think the first one I recognize it's not very good. The second one, it's not a great movie. I think it's a good movie with a really good final battle fight between Venom and Carnage.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought Woody, fuck this guy. Was yeah.
Woody Harrelson and Tia Dalma were amazing.
Yeah.
They were fantastic.
I just hated how they handled Carnage. Movie, it's two different being. Oh, like how
No, I mean, and don't
Woody
get me wrong,
Harrelson and Carnage are
no, I can see that. I
that
totally get
okay.
that.
That's what I thought too. Is that sort of how Venom controls Eddie's body when he's Venom, but I thought it was going to be Woody Harrelson's character was going to be what's his name again? Frick, I got to look it up. Cletus Cassidy, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
When I thought he was going to be in control of the symbiote. No, but you got a point. It's two different. It's a completely different entity, and then ultimately Venom completely devours Carnage again. So I liked it. It was an 8 out of 10. I gave it I think out of the theater I gave it an 8 out of. Yeah, right. Cletus Cassidy. I think out of the theater I gave it like an 8 out of 10, but now I'm like, yeah, it's probably like a 7 out of 10, whereas the first's like a 6 or 6.5.
Mm-hmm.
I liked it better than the first one.
I haven't seen the first one, so
Ultimately, I saw the first one by myself. Second one I got to see with friends though, so that's probably why I liked it better. And then we spent the next 30 minutes walking out of the theater. You froze.
I was gonna say, the stream is mine now. No.
He says only a step up from the first. Yeah. I do think for his first film, directing, Andy Serkis, I think did a decent job.
Yeah, I love. Yeah,
Here's what I wonder what they're gonna do though, because they already said they're gonna do a third one. What are they gonna do with it? Is that your hand right there?
yes.
Okay, so the way you had it, like here, it was just all light. There was no like flesh tone to it.
I have the power.
That was interesting. So yeah, I liked that and No Way Home are the two best Marvel movies of the year, which is something I never thought I would say. That the third movie will have Toxin.
Ooh,
I'm not familiar with
interesting.
that.
I'm not too familiar with Toxin either, but I think that should be
It's
interesting.
another symbiote. Oh wow! Here, let me share my screen. Share screen. Gonna share it. Can you see it?
Mm-hmm. Ooh, okay, I see it. Ooh,
So
that's
this is
interesting.
Toxin.
Ooh. Interesting. Oh, he looks cool.
Yeah. To clarify, I didn't know who Riot or who the heck Riot was at the beginning of of the first Venom. I didn't know who that was.
Yeah.
Here's my question: when are they going to do Scream?
You mean like the horror movie?
No, and if you've ever been to Universal on the ride, when because the whole ride is basically Spider-Man versus the Sinister Six.
Yeah. I've been on that ride.
One of the villains is Scream. It's this character right here. This one.
Oh yeah, okay, I remember him.
And she is, I don't know who it is, or maybe it's just a symbiote all by themselves or something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. There's my Revenge of the Sith background. He says, if you remember the detective in Let There Be Carnage, he is Toxin. So the one that lost his hearing in one ear.
Okay.
That was a cool twist that he was the cop shot the girl.
Mm-hmm.
What was her name again? Or what was her character's name? I'm looking it up. Shriek. Okay.
Yep.
Shriek. That is interesting.
Yep.
I'm happy with the Venomverse because now it's kind of like it's not MCU, but it's its own thing, and I'm liking it.
Mm-hmm. No, same. I agree.
Still going if y'all are still wanting to join. There. If maybe Jesse's gotten his stuff working or Josh is back yet. We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
We may not go for much longer.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna wrapping up soon.
Yeah, if they don't, we'll probably wrap it up in the next 30 minutes.
Okay.
Ooh, that's an excellent question from Spooter. What is your top 5 MCU movies? Jordan, I'll let you go first.
All right, my top 5. For number 1, it always goes back and forth for me between first Guardians of the Galaxy, then Black Panther. So Guardians of the Galaxy, Black Panther, Guardians 2, and then so that's 3. Guardians 2. Oh, what did I? And then Infinity War and Endgame.
So you're saying No Way Home does not make your top 5?
Tops it. I would have to watch it one more time. Maybe it'll be in my top 6. Maybe it'll be in my top 5. But it's definitely under Endgame. Because I think Endgame and Infinity War are just bigger event movies.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's a Spider-Man movie in the MCU. So I that's really, really good. That's like Sam Raimi level good.
Yeah. I ultimately think, though, this is an event film that
it is
just marketing itself as a regular Spider-Man film because
yeah.
it did the amount of restraint that Sony had when marketing this movie to not put Toby and Andrew in it. If Disney was doing this, oh, they would have put Toby and Andrew all over the
Oh yeah.
stuff.
Well, from what I heard, Toby apparently Sony and Marvel kind of went back and forth on how they were gonna do it, and Sony wanted to put like Toby and Andrew in the trailers, but Marvel was the one that actually was like, no, we're waiting until they see the movie in the theaters. So that's what I heard, but I don't know. It's all speculation. Am I the only one in the chat now? Am I the only one in the chat now? Am I?
I'm back.
There you are. Ha
Freaking Electro. Okay, so you were saying you were saying something. So let's see. So for Spooter, it goes Infinity War, which I would agree.
Okay.
In No Way Home, Guardians of the Galaxy, Avengers 1, and Avengers
That's a good top
Endgame.
5. That's a really good top 5.
That is a good top 5. Unfortunately, there are so many MCU films that like, oh, but what about this one? What about this one? Yeah, my list has evolved.
It's hard ranking them, but like for me now, it's because since there's so many, I put them more in tiers because it's like you have like my top 10, maybe top 15 are like the ones that I like consider like the best, that are like the gold standards. Then there's like the middle tier, which are kind of like, oh, that was good, not great, but like pretty solid. And then you have the ones like toward the bottom that are like, kind of just okay. And then you have the ones that are, then there's maybe like 2 or 3 that are just like not that great. I think that's kind of interesting. Yeah.
I'm back.
Did you leave again?
I got kicked again.
No.
So have you done the MCU tier list before on the tier list ranking?
I think I have. Yeah, I did something like that.
I wonder if they've updated it yet with Hawkeye and No Way Home.
See, now
I'm looking right now.
The shows, though. I don't include the shows.
I would, because I can kind of
the ones that are like heavily associated with the MCU. For me, it's
okay. So they have updated
movies.
it and added No Way Home and Hawkeye. Cool. So for me, my top 5 MCU films are my number 1. My favorite Marvel film of all time is Infinity War. No Way Home does not. There. Then, right out of the gate, after I saw No Way Home, I put that one right below Infinity War as my second favorite.
Okay.
Coming out of that, so there are currently right now 2 of the before seeing No Way Home, there were 2 films in the Marvel Cinematic Universe that I said these are perfect, and that is Infinity War and Civil War. And right out of the gate, I thought, man, No Way Home is like a perfect movie. And I'll have to see it again to see if it holds up to that. But obviously, there's some few things where I still give it until I see it again. It's a 10 out of 10 for me. And the 3 perfects are 10 out of 10s. Am I still coming in clear?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So for
Thank
me,
heavens, he's completely unharmed.
For me, it goes Infinity War, No Way Home, Civil War, Endgame, and then The Avengers.
I have a very controversial opinion about Civil War.
Oh, do tell.
It's okay. It's in my like top tier. It's not in my top 10. I'll say that. But I think it's kind of just good. I don't think it's the best MCU movie though.
A lot of people do though, which when it's here's the whole thing is that it's more like a movie than anything else.
Yeah.
It should have just
been a Captain America movie. See, that's my biggest issue with the movie is that like it should be like the big event movie, but it's in a Captain America movie. So, and the Captain America movies, even though I like the Captain America movies and they're really good, those are not the like big event Marvel movies.
Mhm.
Those are like that's the solo stories.
Yeah, and you don't even the big event films never have to be the top tier ones. I mean, for me, obviously for you
Yeah.
and me, they are. But like
Some of the
Winter Soldier, the first Iron Man. I didn't put Homecoming or Ragnarok up there. Those are some big ones that I really. Those are some of the solo films I really love.
I love Ragnarok. Ragnarok is in my top 10. I love Ragnarok.
Spooter
That is
says
my
if we
favorite
include
Thor movie,
shows,
actually.
I'd put What If in my top 5. Absolutely adore that series. I feel like you have to rank, unless you do like the tier list style thing, you have to rank the films and the shows on their own. So here,
no,
now that I have
once I watch all the shows, then once I catch up with all the shows, then I'll start ranking them kind of in there. But
so boom, here's the tier list updated. We'll go for the first Iron Man is an A. Incredible Hulk, where are you? Where is it? There it is. I'm actually going to put it in the D category. I am not a big fan of the Incredible Hulk.
Incredible Hulk is my guilty pleasure Marvel movie. I will say that, but I also acknowledge it's a guilty pleasure, so it's not the best. So, and with all the other MC movies out there, it's yeah.
Then we move on to Iron Man 2, which I actually really like a lot. I feel like it gets a lot of. It's not as good as the first one,
I'd
but
put it a little
ultimately,
bit lower.
Some of my favorite Iron Man scenes are in that movie. Like the racetrack fight with the Mark V is awesome.
Yeah, the only good fight in that movie.
Spooter says he'd put the Incredible Hulk at an F.
Ooh, okay. Fair enough.
For the longest
time, I get.
See, here's the thing: is that it would be down there, except the F tier. I put an entire movie in there. We'll get to that in a second. Jordan, you may know what it is, but don't say it.
Oh, I know.
And then the final fight with the chase with Man of War Machine, and then the fight between them and the Hammer drones, freaking awesome. I love that part. And then we move to Thor, and I feel like Thor is a good old. It's not a bad movie, but it's not a great movie.
Yeah,
it's a good movie.
My biggest issue with Thor is that there's some weird filmmaking choices that I don't really get. Like, why does Kenneth Branagh use Dutch angles all the time?
I thought it was interesting, but I think Kenneth
Dutch angles are meant to be used to create a sense of like uneasiness. And also like to show that something is not quite right. Like, we're in Asgard. We're in this big, grand, like operatic, very like Shakespearean. It's Norse mythology, so it's like it should be big and grand and elaborate.
No.
And there's some really good shots like that, but like half the time, like he tilts the camera a little too much, and I'm just like, why? I think those shots work when they're on Earth because that conveys that Thor's in a place that's very unusual. But yeah, why are they? There's half those shots that are like that on Asgard. It's like, why?
All right, so then we get to the first Avenger, which for me, I would say is an A or B.
Oh yeah,
I think I'll put it in an A because I like it better than
Iron Man. But like, it's in the B. Yeah. It's in the
before the Avengers. I would say these three films are the ones I can watch over and over again.
Yeah.
Then we move to The Avengers. Is an S tier film. This was the first superhero movie I ever saw in theaters.
Okay.
And there were times where when first Avenger I'd put at B. That's understandable, Spooter. I would understand that. But there were times where when I didn't know what to watch, I would just watch the last 45 of The Avengers. Because that final fight in New York is fantastic. Next, we move into Iron Man 3, which I actually really like.
That is my ultimate like redemption movie because when I first saw Iron Man 3, I hated it. But then like I waited a few years and I actually started doing I actually started watching a lot of the films of the director Shane Black, who has directed two of my favorite movies, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang and The Nice Guys. Both those movies are absolutely fantastic. And watching his filmmaking style in those movies, I connected it with Iron Man 3, and I was like, you know what? I think I like this movie a lot more than I gave it credit when
I
saw
do
it the
think
first
the
time.
final battle of Iron Man 3 is awesome.
And yes,
And
the
there are
final
some
battle
times
is
where I would
good.
actually put it up here in the A tier, but I'll just put it down there for now.
Yeah.
I feel
I think
like
it's better
though
than I think it's better
for-
than Iron Man 2. I'll definitely give it that.
I always have trouble ranking the Iron Mans among themselves, which
Yeah,
is
it's
weird.
hard.
Finally, someone who puts Iron Man 3 in a good spot. People put it at F every list I see.
No, I've been redeemed for Iron Man 3. Like I actually like it a lot more than
And especially after seeing Shang-Chi, I'm like, I feel like I like Iron Man 3 even more now. But yeah, sometimes
No, oh yeah, I know why.
depending on, I guess, the last time I saw it, when do Iron Man 2 and 3 go up? Sometimes 2 will go up in the A tier, but for now, I'll leave them in the B tier.
Mhm.
Then we get to Thor, The Dark World. Where is it? There it is.
Oh,
Which,
low.
D.
F. Put in F.
D.
I hate Thor: The Dark World. Oh no, put an F.
D.
It's an F, man. It's an F.
Well, ultimately, I actually said that
that's
Thor,
my least favorite. That is actually my least favorite Marvel movie.
I think once
not
upon a
because
time
it's
I
like
had
it does anything like really offensive, but like it is just boring. I don't even.
Spooter. It's not a D. Spooter, are you saying it's F? He's saying F.
Yes, he agrees with me. Yep.
If that's the case, then I gotta put Hulk in the F. Then
No.
okay, fine. I'll leave it there. There were some times where I would flip these two, where I would say Hulk was worse, but this was D. I don't know. I feel like I was saving the.
Hulk
Here's
is,
the thing,
like,
Spooter, is I was putting it in the
different.
D because I was saving it for saving the F tier for something else. Don't worry, you'll see later. But ultimately, I feel like there are a few tiny things I like about Thor: The Dark World, but ultimately, it is not a good movie, and I feel like I have the same.
The only
opinion of
thing
The
that I
Incredible
like
Hulk.
in the movie is Loki, and Loki wasn't even supposed to be in the movie. He was literally
Yes,
only
Scooter,
supposed
you're
to be
right.
a cameo. They went back and reshot scenes. Oh yeah,
Malekith is an awful villain.
I
He
don't
is
even
one of.
remember Malekith. I don't even remember his. Half the time I can't even remember his name.
I think he might be the worst villain up until
he's the
maybe.
worst. He is the worst MCU villain.
And the only villain I can think of that competes with him would be the villains in Doctor Strange.
Yeah, I
or
didn't like
the
the
villains
Doctor
in the
Strange.
Eternals. The villains in the Eternals.
Mhm.
And that's just movies. I'm not talking about the
But
villains because
anyway,
otherwise
but yeah,
I'd put the
let's
Flag
continue.
Smashers. I'd even put Sylvie there because I think she's a horrible villain.
I've heard good things about Sylvie, but
I
don't
do
know.
not like Sylvie. Mostly because I'll get to that when I rank Loki.
Okay, let's rank. Keep
Winter
ranking.
Soldier, I'm gonna put in the A.
Cool. Okay.
I don't.
That's fine.
I know
That's
some
fair.
people put it in the S tier, but I
No.
think it should be in. It's in the A tier. It's a great movie. It's a shame though because it's not. He's bad. He's great in the comics, but he was done poorly in the. I'm assuming he's talking about Malekith.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, Winter Soldier goes there. I hope Spooter doesn't give me heck for Winter Soldier being in the A tier instead of the S tier. What's next? Guardians of the Galaxy. Do I go A or B?
S.
I'm gonna go A tier.
Okay, fine. I'll take that.
I don't think I will say I like the second one. He agrees with the A tier. I know a lot of people freaking love the first Guardians. I like the first. I really like the first Guardians. I don't know if I'd say I'd love it, but it is definitely the film that they took the biggest risk with, and it had the biggest payoff.
Yeah.
Other than maybe Iron Man and First Avenger.
Yeah.
because those
well,
were
the
also
thing
some
is,
big recent
though,
ones.
Iron Man and First Avengers.
Well, here's the thing: is I think it might be.
Either way, those movies were going to make some sort of money.
He says, "I respect the A on Guardians, but for me, it's an S." That's
Yep,
understandable.
same.
Um,
The thing is, Guardians really was like, I did not expect anything out of Guardians of the Galaxy, and then
I was
seeing
like,
that
I didn't know
friggin'
what
movie,
to
I was like,
expect.
oh my god, this movie is fun, and for me personally, yeah, no, that was like, that is my, like I said, that's my favorite Marvel movie.
All right,
So
Avengers: Age of Ultron. Now,
D. I'd say D.
oh boy, Jordan, are you ready for this?
Are you gonna put
I'm
it
gonna
up?
rank it, and then I'm gonna explain why.
What? No, why?
Okay, here's why.
Why? Because Tony Stark is in it. The only
I
reason why
actually-
you like Jurassic World, buddy. Jurassic World, best Jurassic Park movie.
Hey,
because
I-
Chris Pratt's in it.
Hey, you're not Jared, so sip it. I will say this.
I do agree with him.
I do. Avengers: Age of Ultron, for the longest time for me, was my favorite Marvel movie.
I mean, I guess I could kind of
Ultron-
see why, but like,
But after a while, obviously, you know,
it doesn't.
I watched it.
doesn't hold up.
When I watched it for my Endgame rewatch, I was like, "Oh wow, this is not as good as I remember it."
Yeah.
Just some of the. And then Spooter says, "Ooh, Spooter says it's a B, but he says the D though is crazy."
Oh, the only reason why I say D is because I think it's just a little jumbled. But that's
Yeah,
but
I
that's
feel like
just me,
that one's
though.
kind of.
But
I still
but
really
here's
like
the thing,
it.
it has some really great moments in it.
Mhm.
I feel bad though, because I feel like there was a lot of like Josh Whedon had his vision, but the studio kind of got in the way, and it's like it was kind
What
of a
keeps Age of Ultron for me from being the S tier is some of the little Joss Whedon elements here and there that I didn't like. And then second is that the way they marketed this film versus the result was not great because I thought they were going so much darker with
Yeah.
Ultron and they ultimately didn't.
yeah.
And then you have Ultron in the movie and then he's dead now.
Ultron could have been way better though.
There was a theory for the longest time about WandaVision that director Hayward was Ultron in disguise.
Hmm.
Like somehow he survived. But yeah, Spader, don't get me wrong. I loved Ultron. I think he's definitely one of the top 10 big baddies in the MCU, up there with Loki, Thanos, Red Skull, Vulture, Michael B. Jordan's.
I will
Killmonger.
admit I do like that they added a little bit like more humanity to him. Like I did like he was a little bit quippy, but I also know that they do go dark with Ultron in the comics, so it's like that would have been kind
Yeah.
of cool to see. But
I was also expecting
don't
some
know.
sort of
I-
next Avengers type deal. Because the next Avengers Heroes of Tomorrow animated movie,
yeah,
which is a really good movie.
yeah,
But that's where he's pretty much Skynet
yeah,
from Terminator,
yeah.
which I knew they weren't going to do that.
All right.
But I would have
All right.
liked to have seen him move on. But then there was a theory in WandaVision that he was going to be Hayward, and that he was the only reason he was trying to get back Vision's body so that he could inhabit it.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Continue.
Age of Ultron, Ant-Man, is a B,
Ant-Man.
in my opinion.
Okay.
I
I would say more
really like
C,
Ant-Man.
but that's just me. But
I think Paul Rudd is fantastic in that movie.
it's
And
fun. It's a fun little
Yellow
movie.
Jacket is one of the better villains.
Mm-hmm.
Then we get to Civil War.
Civil
S
War.
tier.
Okay.
S tier.
I would
The
A or
fight,
B, but for me, but that's okay. I get it.
airport fight, and the fight between Captain America.
That is a
Iron
cool
Man
scene. That
and
is a
Winter
really
Soldier.
great scene.
That was
though.
awesome.
I do really like that scene.
That is
But-
how you do a fantastic superhero movie.
But yeah.
And then
anyway.
ultimately, Spoder says agreed with B. I'm assuming that Ant-Man or
Yes.
Civil War. I don't know.
I
I'm
think-
assuming
I
he's
think
going to
so.
say Ant-Man. Then we get to 2017, which starts off with Guardians 2. He absolutely okay. Which I actually like Guardians 2 more than Guardians 1.
See, I will say this. For the longest time, Guardians 2 and Guardians 1 kind of flip-flop for me. I go with the first Guardians of the Galaxy because here's the thing. While I do love what Guardians 2 like kind of explores a little bit more, it does kind of feel a bit all over the place. So like but at the same time I get it, that's because it's a comedy. So I
Yeah,
feel like it kind
Guardians
of
2 is more of a comedy where Guardians 1 is a little bit more serious.
yeah, no. But with that being said, like the first Guardians of the Galaxy, but at the same time the first Guardians of the Galaxy kind of is mixed because it's like, okay, it's a clear story. I know what's going to happen, but at the same time, that doesn't leave you with a lot of surprises. You know exactly what's going to happen.
You know what? I forgot.
You froze. What's that?
Are we good?
Yeah, we're
Are we
good.
good?
Yep.
Okay, so I was ranking Doctor Strange as a C.
Okay. Liam, you're out. It's my show now. Again. I keep stealing this live stream all the time.
Okay, I'm back.
Your screen went away.
I know it does that. Okay.
Your other screen went away. Okay, there we go.
There we go. Spoder says Guardians 2 is definitely better than is definitely not better than Guardians 1 for me. I love the development of the team and the characters. Agreed. And ultimately I feel like that to me.
No. I'm kind of in the same boat. Spooter.
Spader, Ultron.
Are you Ultron? Okay. Anyway.
No, he's Spooter Man.
Spooter Man does whatever Spooter can. Liam, you're making derp faces again. Wow, Liam has some really bad internet connection where he is. It's really kind of interesting. I'm the only one again. Hurry up, Liam. There he is. He's back.
Okay, I'm back. Let's try this again. So yes, I had Doctor Strange ranked as a C.
Okay.
Ultimately, I did not really like that movie very much.
I feel bad because I
liked the part where how it went to him. I liked what happened to him. How he lost his hands. He goes to seek it. It's gotten better for me. I've only seen it like 2 or 3 times. It's gotten better for me each time I've watched it.
No,
but ultimately, the villains weren't that great for me. But here's the thing: it got me excited for the next one. I'm excited for Multiverse of Madness, and I loved Doctor Strange in Infinity War, and
I think he's a great character. I like his origin and everything. I just didn't think his movie was that great, and I think his visuals are trippy, which is really cool because I'm really excited to see what how Sam Raimi's gonna work with that. Like that would be really cool.
Yeah. All right. Now we get back. Yay, Spider-Man Homecoming.
Oh, that came after Doctor Strange?
No, it went Civil War, Doctor Strange, Guardians 2, and then Spider-Man.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay.
Spider-Man Homecoming for me is an A. Just because in 2016,
B for me, but okay.
I was this is my favorite Spider-Man movie.
Yeah.
Up until No Way Home came out. This was my favorite Spider-Man movie. Slightly above Spider-Man 2. occasionally it would flip flop where Spider-Man 2 is my favorite, but for the longest time, Home. But here's the thing:
Okay.
it's
Okay.
we finally got Spider-Man in the MCU. We got Iron Man. We got he's back in high school, and for me, I was Peter coming when the movie came out. I was 15, or I was about to turn 15, going into my sophomore year of high school, and he was a 15-year-old in his sophomore year of high school.
Okay. I guess I could see that. Yeah.
So yeah, some of the things that keep it from me being a perfect Spider-Man movie or perfect movie, not necessarily a perfect Spider-Man movie, was that at time and this even happened with Far From Home, and I'll get to it when Far From Home comes up, is that the trailer showed a shot of Spider-Man and Iron Man swinging and flying together, and I was like, oh.
Yeah, and they didn't show that scene. Yeah.
And I was like, I almost thought that when Vulture crushed him with the building, that Iron Man was going to show up, save him, and then give him back. He's like, come on, we've got a job to do or something. But ultimately, they didn't do it. I'm glad they didn't, because then it led to that awesome moment of him lifting the building.
Mm-hmm.
Spooter says, I would put Homecoming at an S, but that's because I'm a huge Spider-Man fan.
Okay. That's fair. Oh, that's fair.
So am I. I just wouldn't put it quite there, and I would assume so because your background is Spider-Man on top of the Washington Monument.
Mm-hmm. All right. Continue.
Thor Ragnarok. A.
Okay. Yep.
A film.
I
loved Ragnarok.
I
was surprised at how much I loved it.
For me.
Yes. Although, even though I was the funniest movie overall, it's not. The funniest moment in the Marvel Universe is in Guardians of the Galaxy 2. And it's, I'm Mary Poppins, y'all.
Mary Poppins, y'all.
All right. 2018. Black Panther. Now, ultimately, in the past, I always put it as like a B, but the last time I watched it, and especially after Chadwick Boseman passing away, it's an A.
Wakanda
An A doesn't
forever.
necessarily
Wakanda
mean
forever.
And the whole like 10 out of 10, 9 out of 10, 8 out of 10. I feel like S is 10 out of 10, A or 9 out of 10, whatever. A is like 8, 9 out of 10. B is like 7, 8. And then C is like 5, 6 or whatever, or 7 or 6, 7 or whatever.
Mhm.
D is like 6, and then 5 is like, or
Yeah.
F is like 5. Whatever.
Mhm.
It's all weird up. I didn't want to do that. Next we have Infinity War, no discussion, S tier film. Best Marvel film ever. Then we get to Ant-Man and the Wasp. And there were times where I would put Ant-Man and the Wasp above the first Ant-Man, but no, the first Ant-Man's better. Ant-Man and the Wasp, in my opinion, is a B.
Okay. No, I am among the minority opinion of that movie where I actually legitimately love that movie. I actually do like it better than the first one. I like it because I love sort of
I think
the
I like
theme
him
of-
about the same, you know? I like him about the same quality, not really one is particularly better.
Yeah, I guess I could see that, but like for me,
Sure.
I like it a little bit better because I like what they do with the sort of the family element. I love that it's
That
about
is-
father-daughter relationships. I do like that. And I always have a soft spot for those kinds of stories because one of my favorite movies is To Kill a Mockingbird, and that's like one of the ultimate daughter-daddy
Mhm.
relationships
says-
ever. What's that? You went out again. Damn. Oh, Liam is a featured again. There he is.
I appreciate you holding down the fort while my computer decides to crap
I
out.
really didn't do that much, but
All right, back to this. So Ant-Man and the Wasp. Then, oh boy, I get to talk about. I get to rank this film. This is what I was really saving the F ranking for, but that Captain Marvel
that
is an
goes
F.
without saying.
It is for me the worst Marvel film.
I don't think it's it's definitely lower like tier for me. I definitely don't disagree with the F position, but my biggest issue is that like it's just boring.
Yeah,
Like,
ultimately
and
the biggest criticism
like
is that Brie Larson's performance as Captain Marvel is so lifeless. It's nothing. She tries to be like, "Thank you, Spooter. Thank you. This is getting put up there. Thank you. Captain Marvel is the worst."
no, I agree. Honestly, I don't even have that much emotion toward it. Like that's the biggest issue for me with it is that it's just like it's not even a movie that like I can get angry about. Like that's how
It's then
bad
there's
it is. Like
so,
honestly, that's like feel like the worst for the MCU for me is like it's the worst for me is just like I just don't care. And like both like Thor Ragnarok, Thor the Dark World is like that. Captain Marvel's like that, and when we get to Eternals, yeah, Eternals is like that for me too. So
Brie Larson has no emotion in any scene. That is true. I felt,
mhm.
and she tried so hard to do the joke, something like Iron Man or
She tried to be
Robert
really
Downey Jr.,
quippy, and it just didn't work.
and it
Yeah,
didn't because Tony Stark, though, he was established and he went through, and Robert Downey Jr. was actually put life into it. And yes, the villain to the Skrulls, they weren't even villains. They were made to be the victims, which I didn't like. But ultimately, maybe I'll change my mind later down the
who
line
was
to
it?
do
Jude
more.
Law was like the surprise villain, and I don't even
Yeah, I didn't
remember
like
him.
that very much.
How do you
I thought,
make Jude Law forgettable?
and then you have I didn't like what they did with the Skrulls, but ultimately, maybe that'll change once we get more into the Skrulls. Because since then, all we've gotten is the one end credit scene from Far From Home where Nick Fury's with the Skrulls.
Cute. Yeah.
We'll get more, which I don't know if I'm looking forward to because of how bad they were done.
All right, let's continue.
Endgame. S tier.
Cool.
While I don't think it's as good as Infinity War or any of the others, it might as well be in the A tier, but the emotion in that movie was just, even though it's at some points it's a mess.
Stakes. It was probably the most like emotional of the MCU movies.
This movie is also hated how Ronan was portrayed as scared. Yeah, that was dumb.
Yeah,
how
we're talking about
she straight up bashes through the Kree ships and they just retreat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay.
Also, what they did to Nick Fury's eye, whoever wrote that should never work as a writer again. That was so bad. At that point, I was like, I don't think I'm going to like this movie. And then the scratch happened. I'm like, oh, I freaking hate this movie now. Not a good movie.
Yeah.
Game. Far From Home. I'm going to give it a B. Ultimately, with when it comes to Far From Home,
but I do think there's some stuff that I like better. There's some elements that I liked a little bit better than Homecoming. So B's fine. Yeah.
The whole thing a lot of people criticize about Homecoming was that they said it didn't feel like a Spider-Man movie, but it was a good Marvel movie. I didn't know what that meant until Far From Home, where I still think Homecoming, I don't understand it with Homecoming, but I understand it with Far From Home, where it's a good Marvel movie. I just don't think it's a great Spider-Man movie because Spider-Man should be in New York. Spooter says he would give Far From Home an A. Originally for me, Spooter, Far From Home was an A, But then I'm like, there's a couple things I don't really like about the movie. And then I didn't, obviously, saying in Captain Marvel, I didn't like the Skrulls. I didn't like how Nick Fury and Maria Hill were Skrulls. I kind of blocked that out of my head. And then I was reminded of it in there. I think my biggest knock on Far From Home is that in the trailer, it showed like what they were going to do is they were going to do more with Peter right before he went on the trip, maybe show a little bit of when he's fighting in New York. And ultimately they did so with the short film To-Do List, which I don't understand why they would cut that out of the film. Why did you cut that out of the film? Jordan,
Mm-hmm.
have you seen Peter's To-Do List?
No.
Ultimately what it is, it's him getting ready for the trip, going to Mr. Delmar, phone adapter, and then selling his toys to buy MJ the necklace.
Oh.
It also showed him in the restaurant in the Iron Spider suit fighting the gang. I was like, why would you cut this out?
Yeah.
And then there was that clip
Probably
of
to
him.
save time, I guess.
And then it's like minutes. The
What is
short
it?
film is like less than 5 minutes.
I'll have to
And
look it
then
up.
of it's him on his phone in the Stark suit on his phone right behind what was Avengers Tower
Mm-hmm.
or in front of it. And I'm like, why did you cut that out? I feel like what we should have done is the part where they go from high school to the plane is rushed, and they should have given a little bit more time to him, like getting ready and still doing the Spider-Man responsibility in New York.
Yeah.
I feel like that should have how it would have been. Now, we get to this year. We have had, oh wow, have we? No, we had 9 Marvel things this year. WandaVision.
Wow.
All right, I'm just gonna do a rapid rank of the TV shows.
Yeah.
B. What if? Will be a B. Okay. So for me,
That's
the
fair.
three Marvel shows that are the C's, I all thought they started so strong, but then somewhere fell off a cliff. Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I was the one I was the most hyped for, but ultimately was the one I was the most disappointed in because of the Flag Smashers, how they were so badly done. The best part, the dynamic between the two, and then John Walker's Captain America,
Mm-hmm.
and then the fight. Oh, not gonna spoil it because you haven't seen it.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say something that's one of my favorite parts, but not going to say anything. Loki. I'll just say this because how far are you on in Loki?
Literally, I'm on the 2nd episode.
Okay, then I won't say anything about Sylvie. I just didn't like her very much. Owen Wilson very likable in this show. And then WandaVision, I already suggested. What if they brought it? I like the stories. Zombies was cool. The Doctor Strange one was cool. Captain Carter was cool. I'm missing one, but and then we get to the big end where what if Ultron won, and then what if the Watcher broke his oath, where he brings them all together, which I thought was freaking awesome.
Mm-hmm.
That final episode, and I just liked how that was, so that's where I'd rank it. And then Hawkeye, I give it a B. I liked it better than the other Marvel shows,
Yeah.
and I think it's the best live action one, but ultimately the problem is like I said, what they did with Kingpin, where they kind of just, I didn't feel like he felt like Kingpin that at certain times, especially when I felt like Maya shot him, where he managed to survive an explosion, then he gets blinded by a shot, whatever. There were a couple times where I was like, really? But ultimately, I like the dynamic between Haley Steinfeld's Kate Bishop and Clint, and then Hawkeye. I liked it. Also set at Christmas.
Yeah. Okay, you get the Christmas feel, which is
Spooter
nice.
says he would set Falcon at a B, WandaVision at B, Loki at an A, Hawkeye an A, What If at an
Cool.
S.
Okay. I can see that.
All right. Here's the ultimate, because now we're on Black Widow. Where do I put that? It's not an F.
I'd put it in C. That's just me, though.
I'd give it a C or D.
I think for me, it's the family dynamic that I liked that ultimately kind of bumped it up. Because there's
Yeah.
stuff that I don't like with the villain and everything in that movie, but like I think
I
the
think I'm
the
gonna
stuff
do
with
this.
the relationship between him and
I'm gonna give
her
it a D.
sister D. Okay,
I was
I would put
so
it C, but
disappointed at that moment. Shang-Chi for me, I'm actually gonna give this movie a B.
B. Okay,
I was very
I like it.
surprised at
I like it a
Shang-Chi.
lot better than I saw it the first time, but
Yeah, that's the only Marvel movie out that is other than or other than Far No Way Home that I would actually consider watching again. I have no interest in
yeah,
watching Black Widow again,
it's
and I have
good.
no
Watch
interest.
honestly, watching it again, I liked it a lot better.
Eternals is a straight up D, if not an
Oh,
F.
F. Oh, fucking F for me, but yeah.
B for me on Black Widow. The backstory is what really makes that. That's a good point.
Yeah,
That's a good
no,
point.
I
That whole
agree.
backstory scene was awesome, and then
Easily the best
they
part of the movie, yeah.
yes. Also, the way they did I gotta say this, the way they did Taskmaster, that Shang-Chi, okay. That's a decent point. I just gave it a B because there were a few things I just didn't quite like about it.
I didn't like the
Ultimately,
final
also,
fight in Shang-Chi. That kind of ruined it
oh,
for
I
me.
actually liked it. I liked the fight with him and his
Too
dad.
CGI heavy for me.
The part where he fights the dragon, yes, not so much his dad. I like the fight with him and his dad.
Yeah. That stuff was cool, but yeah.
But then Marvel's Katie, I was like, what the heck?
Mhm.
With Marvel's Katie, I was kind of like, huh? And then we get to Spider-Man No Way Home, which was we've been the past 2 hours. It's an S tier.
Yeah. Mhm. It's up there.
Spooter, not gonna lie, I thought Eternals was a B.
Really? I mean, I the thing with it, I will give it Eternals this. It at least took a lot more chances and was a little bit different than some of the other Marvel movies. But I felt like it was an experiment that really didn't pay off very well. But at least that's just my opinion. I don't know. I'm open to them doing another Eternals movie and them kind of like expanding the characters a little bit more. But at the same time, we already had a 2 hour and 30-minute movie that basically did that exact thing. So,
Yeah. I will say the parts in the past where they are fighting the Eternal or the Deviants, I thought was interesting. Although the Deviants, the main Deviant who's supposed to be the big bad, I just didn't think was that interesting.
yeah.
And then they pulled the plot line from the Tomorrow War, which ultimately, in my opinion, just didn't work. I don't know if I mentioned it to you.
Yeah, you did. You told me.
Spooter, have you seen the Tomorrow War on Amazon Prime with Chris Pratt? If I'll go into detail if you have of what I'm talking about. I'll wait for him. I'll give him a minute to
Mhm.
respond.
One eternity later.
One eternity later. Problems, but overall, I thought they were totally really interesting characters since I had no knowledge of them whatsoever going into it. I thought maybe a third to a half of the Eternals were actually interesting, where the others I didn't really care too much about.
Yeah, same.
Where the
They
one
had like
guy
interesting
died.
backstories. I just didn't feel like the personality. They had like no personality to me though. Like all of
That's
them, I
fair.
think were trying to be way too stoic, and it just kind of came off really boring. And I feel bad because it's like these are interesting ideas, uh, and interesting like setups for the characters. They just didn't give us any personality to really connect with.
Don't mind me. I'm just updating my ranking list because of where I put these things. I had a few things moved around. I haven't seen it purely because of the reviews it got. That's the thing too, is I don't understand why the critics, because let's see, if I remember correctly, the critics gave it like a 50%, which I don't understand, and then the audience gave it like a 90 something. Let me actually check. Tomatoes, The Tomorrow War. Okay, so it's got a 52 and it's sitting at a 77 with an audience score. Okay, it's a little bit lower than I thought it was, the audience score, but I will say this is my second favorite movie of the year. Just behind No Way Home. I absolutely love this movie. Spooter, if you're a fan of Chris Pratt, you will like this movie. It's kind of got like that Terminator. It's got like a Terminator feel, but not Terminators, but instead it's aliens. But the way they handle it, and there's a huge plot twist in it that is so mind-blowing. I was like, oh my gosh, this is IMDb. What about IMDb? It's got a 6.6. Although for me, this movie's like a 9 out of 10. Or 10 out of 10. 9 or 10 out of 10. I actually thought the characters were really interesting. The plot twist I'm referring to, I'm not going to spoil it, but the Eternals does a similar plot twist with the Deviants. However, in the Eternals, it is handled so lazy that it just made it worse for me. Yeah, Spooter, you should absolutely give it a watch if you got Amazon Prime.
Yeah, it's not a bad movie. I personally just think it's kind of good. I was like, oh yeah, this is fun, this stuff like that. But
at
it's
least it's a good
CGI heavy
action
for my
movie that
taste.
has heart. Dude, those aliens,
There's
whoever
a lot
made the
of other
design for
movies
those
that are like that,
aliens
dude.
were freaking cool. Spooter, if you haven't seen the movie, don't look up the aliens in it. You really should, just because they don't show you it up until the moment that they're actually there. So don't look it up. You just gotta see them and be like, oh my gosh, these things are terrifying. Would you, Jordan? Like, I didn't know what the alien. I'm not even gonna say the names. What the aliens look like, and then when I saw them in the movie, I was like, oh my lord, these are terrifying.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. There you go. So yeah, that's my tier ranking. Maybe next time you're on here, Jordan, we'll do yours.
Yeah, that would be fun. I would do that.
Yeah. Although I'll do it again just when more Marvel movies come out.
Yeah.
We're getting like what, 4 next year? We're getting Black Panther, Doctor Strange.
Yeah, Black Panther 2. Oh, that's right. Black Panther 2 comes out next year. I'm really curious to see what they're going to do with Black Panther 2. I
honestly think they should just
now that
recast the
we've
role.
lost Chadwick Boseman, I'm very curious. I don't know. The rumor I hear is that Shuri is going to be the new Black Panther. But I've also heard that they're bringing back Michael B. Jordan.
Interesting.
Which I don't know how they're
considering
he
died.
Didn't he die at the end of?
I honestly think they really should have just recast the role. As much as that hurts because Chadwick Boseman was so good as Black Panther, I really think they should just recast him.
Mm-hmm.
Even his face, just go ahead and recast him. It. We know how much Chadwick loved the character, but we would want to see it live on, even if that means it Spooter says most anticipated film for next year for me is either Across the Spider-Verse or The Batman. So I'll let you
Oh,
answer that first,
okay.
Jordan. What is your most
Definitely. Oh,
anticipated
I'm
film
definitely
of
excited
next
for
year?
Batman. Very excited for Batman. Mainly because I'm a big Riddler guy, so I'm very curious to see how they do the Riddler in this movie. It's a new like interpretation of the character, so I'm like, okay, that's actually pretty cool.
So do you remember
Also
the
also the Penguin looks pretty cool too.
come up with names and the for himself and the things going meh, like when it says no or yes, the Riddler machine where it's like
Yeah.
he's trying to come up with
Mhm.
names in Batman Forever. So the trailer for the Batman played the the trailer for the Batman played during our Far From Home viewing, and as soon as
Mhm.
the camera
You
pans
mean
to the
No Way
coffee
Home?
cup, so what did I say?
You said Far From Home.
Okay, so No Way Home, when the trailer played and it panned down to the coffee cup with the question mark, my brother looks over to me and goes, "Captain Kill."
That's funny.
Yeah, his favorite. He has a huge loving of Batman Forever.
It's I I have mixed feelings about
Movie.
Batman Forever because
It's just
it's as cheesy
it's
as
fun.
hell, but like when it tries to be like a legit Batman movie, that's where I kind of lose it actually.
Yeah, that's interesting. So for me next year, I'm mostly looking forward to either the right now Batman is number one. I as much as I love Ben Affleck and his Batman, and I would have wanted to see him, I am really looking forward to Batman is my favorite
Mhm.
character. I am really looking forward to this new interpretation.
Yeah, same.
And when we get the Flash, Ben Affleck is in that movie, and I think Robert
He
Pattinson is
is,
too.
and also Michael
Michael
Keaton.
Keaton
I'm excited. That one I'm excited for. Because Michael Keaton is probably my favorite Batman.
is the Tobey Maguire of Batman,
Yes, yes, he is.
where he was the first one, and then Andrew Garfield is kind of like the. I don't want to say he's the Val Kilmer or George Clooney because they didn't
He's
work that
Christian
great as
Bale.
Batman.
He's the Christian Bale Batman.
He's the Christian Bale if the Dark Knight movies sucked, which they don't.
Yes, yes. No, I agree.
Yeah, and then you have Affleck is
That's
like
why.
the Tom
Well,
Holland.
that's why I said he's the Christian Bale because I'm like Christian Bale's the second best Batman. So.
Well, I would say actually Tom Holland is the Christian Bale,
Do we want to get
and
into
Ben
the animated
Affleck.
series because Kevin Conroy's pretty up there though?
Well, then you got to put in the animated Spider-Man people like Josh Keaton, who did him in Spectacular, and then Drake Bell, who did him in Ultimate. I forget
Yeah, I
who
was
did
gonna
him in
say,
the
didn't Drake Bell
90s.
do Spider-Man?
Yeah. Not Spectacular Spider-Man. Spooter says, yeah, the Spider-Verse is my all-time favorite Spider-Man movie, and in fact, they're incorporating 2099 Spider-Man, which is my favorite, apart from Peter, of course, makes me more excited. Yeah, I can't wait. I was pretty
I
excited
haven't seen the
when I
new
saw him in the
trailer
trailer.
for Into the Spider-Verse or Across the Spider-Verse, but
Did you know it's part one of
I did know that. I did hear that they were splitting it into two parts. So
if anything, I was like, why would you say part one? Because then you could end the movie on like a cliffhanger and do it Infinity War style, and nobody would expect it.
Yeah, right. And then reveal surprise part one.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. But then again, it's Infinity War did that, and No Way Home kind of did it because it's like there's so much uncertainty, just like with Far From Home. So much uncertainty. So, like, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
But I'm excited. I loved Into the Spider-Verse.
But yeah. No, Into the Spider-Verse was really good. It was really awesome.
Yeah. What I do, I don't know if you've seen, but what I do on the notes on my phone is I list every movie I've ever seen within the year.
Yeah,
and then I rank them via the year. So, like, movie I've ever seen was 100 years ago in 1921. And I've seen The Circus, Charlie Chaplin, The Kid with Charlie Chaplin.
There's a lot of Charlie
and
Chaplin
7
movies
Years
I need
Bad
to catch
Luck.
up on.
My favorite, my favorite.
All of them
was
are on
The
HBO Max,
Circus.
so it's like I could just go watch them on there.
Yeah, then we get. I'm just not going to go through them all. And then for 2022, I've got the Batman. I was going to say my second favorite, most anticipated film next year is Jurassic World,
Oh yeah, that's right.
and they're bringing back the people from Jurassic Park:
Yeah, no, I'm
Sam
excited.
Neill,
That's
Laura
cool.
Dern, Jeff Goldblum. Although he was already back in Fallen Kingdom.
As a cameo, like
Welcome
2
to
scenes.
Jurassic World.
Welcome to the Jurassic World.
Now, you're supposed to have
Change
dinosaurs
apartment,
on your dinosaur
change the
tour.
world.
Change your apartment. Change the world.
Those sparkles.
Sparkles.
Mhm.
You're welcome, and it's a tie.
Mhm.
Spooter. Oh man. Okay.
What?
Jurassic
I like
Park
them
is
because they're
obviously-
bad. That's why I like them.
Here's the thing. So Jurassic Park is obviously one of the greatest films ever made.
Pratt is in it. That's why
Hey,
the greatest
listen to
movies
me.
ever made.
Hey, there's the objective truth, and then my subjective opinion. The truth is Jurassic Park is obviously the best. It's one of the greatest films ever made. Jurassic World is my personal favorite because reasons. I recognize it's not
It's
the
okay.
best.
Hey, I'm like that with Johnny Depp. So
So
BS that
Lost
they took him
World,
out of the
let's just go.
Fantastic
Lost
Beasts
World,
series,
I think is good, but it was okay. I like Lost. Jurassic Park 3, I'm like, eh. Jurassic Park 3 is the worst one. I
haven't seen any of
love
the sequels
Jurassic World
outside
because
of the
I
Jurassic
think
World movies.
it was because here's why. 2014 was when I went on the Jurassic Park River ride for the very first time, and then I watched the 3 movies, and then the very next year Jurassic World came out.
Mhm.
So I think that had to do with it. And I obviously love Jurassic World. Thought that movie was fantastic. Fallen Kingdom, I like Fallen Kingdom, but it's kind of weird.
Oh, it's hilarious.
Fallen Kingdom for me is the worst Jurassic
Fallen
movie.
Kingdom is
I'm actually okay
absolutely
with that.
hilarious in how ridiculously bad it is. I was laughing the entire friggin' movie when that movie came out. I was just like, "What is going on?" This movie
I think
feels
the
like it was made in like the late 90s.
I will
It was
say
so
for me,
stupid.
where's the interesting thing is that when all that came out, people were like, yeah, who wasn't director, but he was like one of the writers or producers, said like, yeah, we tried to do something different and it must have not worked out. We'll keep that in mind when we're doing the next one. Which is going to be interesting because now here's the thing I would have loved Fallen Kingdom had 2 things not happen. I thought the whole part with Chris Pratt when he was tranquilized being like was
Yeah, it was
stupid.
pretty stupid. Yeah.
And then
Something like that would have worked in the Guardians of the Galaxy movie, not Jurassic Park.
And then when they're about to see, now I forget what the kid's name is. Maisie, right?
Macy, yeah.
Maisie. No, it's Maisie. Like Daisy.
Maisie. Oh, them.
Scooter says it was a ripoff of King Kong.
Yeah.
Funny.
Yeah.
Maisie is that the big I was like, ooh, the big twist is that it was a that she's actually a clone. I was like, whoa. Then I was
the more
then
you
when
start to think
freed
about that though, it sounds really friggin' insane.
Hey, I actually like Revenge of the Sith when there's an army of clones in that one, so deal with it.
Okay, not the cloning like process. Okay, something like that would work in Star Wars.
Yeah, I know. It's Star Wars versus real life.
In friggin' Jurassic World.
I don't know how it worked, but when they did it, I was like, whoa. And then I think the worst part of the film is when the decision is when when Claire is saying when the gas is leaking in the chamber and the dinosaurs either die or they go out into the world, and she ultimately makes the decision not to, but then Maisie does. I'm like, oh, come on. This could have all been over. We get another one. But now I keep having to wait so long.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spooter, I'd be interested to hear your favorite Star Wars piece of media, whether it's TV shows or movies, since I see you're a huge fan. Well, thank you, Spooter. Yes, my favorite, I would say my personal favorite media of Star Wars, Clone Wars TV show. That was my Star Wars I grew up with. Obviously, I love the original trilogy. I love the prequel era. I love Revenge of the Sith, Attack of the Clones, and Phantom Menace. But I still have things I like about Attack of the Clones and Phantom Menace.
Mm-hmm.
Then we moved to the era.
We're not talking about it. We're not talking about it. We're not
just gonna
going
go fat.
into it. We're not going in. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up.
I like The
love you,
Force
shut up.
Awakens. I don't like Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker. I love Rogue One. I thought Solo was not very good. Mandalorian I love. I love both seasons of Mandalorian. What else? I like Rebels. I hate Resistance. Mandalorian.
See,
I got Mandalorian.
I'm more of a-
Bad Batch. I liked Bad Batch, and I think that's everything. And I'm looking forward to Book of Boba Fett.
I'm more into like the visual medium of Star Wars. I'm more of the movies though. No, we're not getting into Last Jedi.
I've had too many arguments with Jordan about The Last Jedi. But hey, I'm just going to say this.
I don't hate it. I don't love it either. I think it's perfectly fine. I don't get the major love that everybody has for it, but at the same time, I also don't like the stuff that people hate about it. Doesn't really bother me that much.
I think the people that praise not you, but the people who praise it and think it's the greatest thing ever made don't understand cinema at all.
I don't know.
They say the cinematography is beautiful, which
yes, it is. It's absolutely gorgeous.
Go look at some sunset photos then.
Well,
that's not story. People confuse.
That's how you tell a story. You're
confusing pretty with good cinematography.
Okay,
The Last
you're
Jedi.
Absolutely right. Yes, character and story does.
I'm done. I'm done. I win. I win. I win.
Okay, I get it. I know. I get it. I know. I'm among that. Well, here's the thing. I don't have an emotional opinion about it anymore. I really don't care. Last Jedi I'm just sick of talking about The Last Jedi, honestly. Because I'm just like, whatever. Can we all just let's call the whole thing off? I love the original trilogy. To me, A New Hope is one of my top 10 favorite movies. That was the first. Well, here's the thing. So I was a kid when the prequels came out, and I didn't really. I remember watching the prequels as a kid. And yet I hadn't seen. Okay, we're done. We're done talking about it.
Thank you, Spooter.
Talking about it. We are done talking about it. We are done talking about it. Thank you very much. Good night. I love you. Bye-bye. Okay. Anyway, A New Hope is one of my favorite movies. That's and I remember watching the prequels when I was a kid, and I enjoyed them fine. There was some stuff that went over my head as a kid, but like I think I've come more to appreciate them now that I'm older. But then I watched A New Hope, and something about A New Hope just friggin' flashed in my mind. I was like, what is this? And again, I didn't see this in the theaters. I watched this on my little TV in my bedroom when I was in 6th grade. And I was like, this is one of the greatest movies ever made. And it has just grown even more ever since.
That Empire Strikes Back.
A New Hope. Empire Strikes Back, I think, is just as good, if arguably not better.
I think Empire Strikes Back gets more of more people I think that Empire Strikes Back is the greatest film ever made over A New Hope. Also, really quick,
I disagree.
Spooter, thank you for
a little bit with that, but
I have a new subscriber. I want to thank Spooter for subscribing to the channel. This one's for you, Spooter.
Pizza time.
No, I do love Empire Strikes Back. I think that one is. I think it is a very like great movie. Um, and arguably like really kind of furthers the Star Wars stuff. I feel like A New Hope is just more entertaining to me. Like I don't know. I find myself watching A New Hope more and quoting A New Hope more in like random situations than. But those are just minor little things. Return of the Jedi I think is really good too. It's my
Ultimately, even though Return of the Jedi is my favorite, I see why people say it's the worst of the three.
yeah.
For me, the
I
Battle
don't
of
think it's the
Endor makes that whole
worst.
movie.
I don't think it's the worst out of them all.
Of the three.
Of the three. I don't think it's my least favorite. But like
Which is fine. I'm not super big on the Ewoks and Jabba's palace, but the Battle
I
of
love the
Endor, the
stuff in
space
Jabba's
battle.
palace. That is
No, I
easily
do
my
too.
favorite
I
part of
just
the
don't
I
like. I would
love the
say
stuff with Jabba. Well, that's
I don't
that's
hate.
because that's
I
my
don't hate
favorite stuff in the
anything
Star
about
Wars
that.
universe though, is the bounty hunters. I
For
love the
me,
bounty
it's
hunters. I love the
the
pirates. Han Solo is my favorite Star Wars character. So
for me it's the second word in the title, Star Wars. That's what makes it for me is the war, the
I
battles,
don't
and then
know.
when you get a film like Last Jedi where the battles are so lame, and Rise of Skywalker, I will throw in Rise of Skywalker
Yeah,
too.
the battles in the Last Jedi were not that very good. I will agree with that. I
Mhm.
honestly, well, here's the thing. It's not that the battles were really bad in that movie. They were just really standard. Like they
Well, I
were
mean,
just very generic Star Wars battles. And it's
let me
like,
see.
you could do something a little bit more creative with these. But yeah.
I'm going to do this here. Let me quickly share my screen. I'm going to send you, or I am going to direct you to this channel called Robot Head. He started, when The Last Jedi came out, you got stupid thing, you got Disney doesn't understand lightsabers, the ripoff of the throne room scene, how the bombers suck. And the bombers, I don't hate the bombers. I just think they were kind of stupid. Like obviously I have the Lego set downstairs. Then you have the action, which is terrible. Empire Strikes Back, where people keep saying how it was polarizing. He does a history lesson about that, how it's not true. Then you
I will
have,
say this. I hate Rise of Skywalker. That is my least favorite of all the Star Wars movies. So
I think it's
if you
it's my
say what
second
you will
least
about The
favorite.
Last Jedi, I
But yes, you're right.
think The
Nobody
Last
likes
Jedi is
that
very
movie.
standard, but Rise of Skywalker, I fucking hate.
And then there's this one
That's
up
my
here.
Last Jedi. So
Here's the whole argument
does
with the
that make it
cinematography.
better? I hope it makes it better.
Jordan, here's the whole thing with the cinematography argument. Ryan Johnson's bad directing killed The Last Jedi. Where the whole cinematography thing is the people that
Watch
say
Knives
his
Out.
hey, I will say his directing works for Knives Out. I don't think
Well, how does it work for Knives Out and not work for The Last Jedi?
it's because
Explain.
it doesn't look like the other Star Wars movies. Because
Does it have to look like all the other Star Wars movies?
yes. Here's the Jordan, listen to me.
Would
Is
you
that
want some?
he
I would much
references
rather have
Rod
something
there's a
stand out.
cinematographer's quote that he references in there is that Roger Deakin, who is one of the best cinematographers, he says he's one of the favorite cinematographers, is that he says there's people confuse pretty with cinematography. There's good cinematography, bad cinematography, and then cinematography right for the movie. Ryan Johnson, some of the framing in The Last Jedi, you'll if you watch his video, he breaks it down. Some of it is garbage, and there are way too many close-ups in that movie. The close-up.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, I know what a close-up is. I've
There's
directed a movie
way
before. I know.
yes, I know. I took a film class, so now I know more about this than I did before. Then you have he said, well, ultimately, I think the cinematography is just not right for a Star Wars movie, but it works. And I haven't since watching that video. I have not rewatched Knives Out. I should. I've wanted.
I was really hoping we were going to get into a Last Jedi conversation. I really tried. I really hoped. Why'd you have to bring up the Star Wars conversation? I love Star Wars. Don't get me wrong, and I will talk Star Wars with you all. But it always gets into The Last Jedi is the worst movie ever made. When in my opinion, it's just like, whatever. I don't
I
love
got
it.
kicked because I hate The Last Jedi.
Haha.
Look, Ryan Johnson is a solid director, but he's not. What should have happened is yes.
No,
I agree. I think
agree.
if JJ
I
had
do
done
agree
all
with
three
this.
films,
Is even though there are certain things that I like in The Last Jedi, I will admit they should have had a solid vision all the way through. I think they should have had a solid vision, and they had one director helming all three movies. I think what they wanted, I think what they were trying to do was they wanted to be like the original trilogy and have three different directors, because George Lucas directed A New Hope, Irvin Kershner directed Empire, and then Richard Marquand directed Return of the Jedi. Which, fun fact, it was originally supposed to be Steven Spielberg. Steven Spielberg was supposed to direct Return of the Jedi, but because George Lucas dropped out of the Directors Guild because of fines that he had to pay for Empire, Steven Spielberg, he couldn't choose, so that gave him, he couldn't choose the director, and Steven Spielberg was his first choice to direct Return of the Jedi, but he had to choose somebody else. So
right?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then obviously George directed all three of the.
And then
prequels.
he directed all three of the prequels. Yeah. But no, I agree. I think in this more modern day age, I think it would have worked a lot better if you got one director to direct all three films. Because the thing is, there were things that I feel like JJ was setting up in Force Awakens that didn't pay off, or didn't pay off the way that I feel like JJ Abrams was intending in The Last Jedi.
Yeah, that was one of the biggest things, I think, criticisms of The Last Jedi was that
Mhm.
The Force Awakens needed the sequel the sequel to address all the setups in The Force Awakens to make The Force
Yeah.
Awakens better.
And then they added even more questions.
Now-
And then The Last Jedi, and then Return of the Jet, and then not Return, Rise of Skywalker threw all of that out the window.
Well, it all got thrown out of the window in The Last Jedi, and then Rise of Skywalker was like, screw it, we're not doing any of this. Which is ultimately where it all went down. But yeah, if you had, but ultimately what
But no,
I think
you
was the
needed-
downfall
but no,
was
you
that,
needed a solid vision throughout
Yeah.
all of them.
and
I
they didn't have a
I
plan.
will agree with that.
JJ made a really solid first movie, and then Johnson came in, messed up the whole vision, so JJ had to come in and try and fix everything, which ultimately led to a disaster.
No, The Rise of
Similar
Skywalker
to
is god
to what
awful.
happened
I
to
hate-
Justice League.
that is my one where I'm just like, yeah, no,
And-
that's my Last Jedi.
Yeah, it's fine. Some people say The Force Awakens is their Last Jedi. I'll just put that,
Yeah,
which is
see, that I don't
understandable.
get. I do legitimately like The Force Awakens. I
So
don't
do I.
think
I
it's
get
the
some of the
greatest Star Wars
things.
movie, but I do like it.
Yeah, I get some of the things, like Han Solo dying wasn't great, but it was whatever. As long as they
I liked that, but I hated how each of the other movies tried to like top it by like killing off one of the other characters. I'm like, really? You're gonna kill off like Han? I get it, because here's the thing: that was what Harrison Ford wanted. He wanted Han to die in Return of the Jedi when he
feel
gets
like they could have
frozen
done
in
it a little
carbonite.
bit
That's
better,
why he
though.
gets frozen in carbonite, because they didn't know if he was going to come back or not.
I feel like they could have done the death a little bit better.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. Well, it did come as a legit surprise. Book of Boba Fett does look pretty good. I'm actually very
Yeah.
interested. Well, let's just say this: I friggin' love The Mandalorian.
Oh yeah, I love the
So-
Mandalorian.
And
I love
all the
too.
bounty hunter stuff. I love the pirates and the gangsters and stuff, or that universe's equivalent of that kind of stuff. So that stuff is my favorite elements of the Star Wars universe. The Jedis are cool, but like the thing with the bounty hunters and all that stuff is they don't. The thing is, there's this always each sort of like thing in the Star Wars universe has this moral goodness or moral badness to them. Like, the Jedi, they see themselves as like these morally good characters when and honestly, part of me kind of sees them as a bit of corrupt. Where and then the Sith, they're the bad guys, even though they're allowed to do a lot more, they're still the bad guys. So it's like, why are you going to support that? For me, the bounty hunters and the smugglers and stuff like that, like these guys don't have values and they don't have morals, but at the same time, they do try to do the right things when they just try to survive. That is their goal in life, is to survive. And I feel like that's something that's a very relatable quality. Than just being like, oh, I'm a good person or I'm a bad person. Well, what does that really mean? You're bad.
I will say,
That's
yeah,
what
I will say I
find
liked
really-
how the season 2 finale of The Mandalorian did bring in Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
Ultimately, his lines too was the biggest middle finger to how he was treated in the sequel trilogy, where training, power without training is useless,
Mhm.
and that ultimately leads to Rey was hardly trained, and yet she's able to do all this unstoppable stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, Mandalorian, I think, is the best.
I feel like they did a really
original
Rey.
piece of material that Disney has produced for Star Wars. And ultimately, I felt like they were sort of recovering and gaining the trust back of the fandom. And then what did they do? They fired Gina Carano.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel like all of the goodwill and benefit, the stuff that literally all the fans that they had been able to get back were like, you just fired her, we're done.
Yeah.
It was sad.
But Book of Boba Fett looks really good. Well, Book of Boba Fett looks very, very good.
I absolutely agree, George. Jedi are so overrated. They're very cool, but don't get me wrong, but bounty hunters get overshadowed. I feel like Mandalorian. I feel like that's because the original story was about the Jedi. Like the original the whole the core of Star Wars sort of revolves a little bit around the Jedi. And with the prequel, the Clone Wars, obviously, in the Clone Wars, we get that. I do feel like at times bounty hunters get overshadowed. Like I was so like when Rebels came out, I was so hoping that Boba Fett would show up in Rebels, and he never did.
Well, that's also one of the reasons why Han Solo is my favorite Star Wars character, because it's like he's a guy, he's a good person and he does do the right thing in the end, but at the same time he has a little bit of an edge to him. There's this like mystery to him, which is kind of one of the reasons why I both loved and hated Solo all at the same time, because I'm like, on the one hand, it's cool to see Han Solo like doing the Han Solo things, but at the same time I'm like, do I really need to know all this stuff? Because I kind of can like make context clues as to how he got the Millennium Falcon and stuff like that. There's little hints here and there that it's like you already know.
Yeah, I kind of thought Solo was meant. I thought the first like third of it was actually pretty dang good.
I kind of liked it better than Rogue One, in my opinion, because at least there was characters that I liked in Solo, whereas there was virtually none in Rogue that I really cared about.
Well, I liked the characters in Rogue One. I know a lot of people don't, but I did. I was fine with them.
I thought they were all boring. I did not.
It's fair.
The only two that I liked was K2SO and the blind guy. Chirrut. Yeah, I liked.
Yeah, everyone says that he was their favorite. I loved Chirrut.
Chirrut was really good.
I liked Cassian more than most.
I liked that
but
he was. That is what Rey should have been. He's somebody who knows the Force, believes in the Force, but is not a Jedi.
That's fair, Spooter. That is very fair, and I get that. Because even with that's the whole thing. Is that I feel like condensed and made the Star Wars universe feel so much smaller than it used to be.
Mm-hmm. Well, now we got Mandalorian, and
Yeah.
Book of Boba Fett, and other
Because
things,
we had so many different stories that they decanonized.
What are you excited for Ahsoka?
Yeah, I am. I'm still excited for stuff moving forward.
Oh, that should be interesting. All right. I got work in the morning, so
I won't hold you up.
Yeah. So.
All right. Thanks for joining me, buddy.
Yeah, no
You're always
problem.
welcome on this channel.
It was fun talking. Bye, Spooter. It was nice meeting you.
All right.
So, all right. I will see you later.
See you later. All right. We are going to wrap this up in the next couple minutes. For those of you who will be watching this later down the line, thank you for joining. Spooter, thank you for the chat. Very much. It was nice to get to talk to you. And then tier ranking and obviously the Star Wars, moving into Star Wars. All good. Also, thank you for the sub. I greatly appreciate that. If you want to find me or Jordan on social media, be sure to follow us. I am just about everywhere on Twitter, Instagram, and you can follow me at Liam501st, which is just Liam501st, but with a lowercase L. And it's I appreciate that, man. Me with the blue lightsaber on all of the platforms. And then Jordan, you can find him on Instagram at Jordo Solo, I think. It's him behind a red curtain. And if you go into my followers or following, you can find him there too. If you just type in Jordo, it's Jordo Solo. But thank you guys so much for watching. I'm going to play these one last time, and be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. I appreciate the sub and Spooter. You guys have a good one.
Ladies and gentlemen, fasten your seatbelts.
Pizza time. Fuck this guy!